Good evening, chat, and welcome back to the ultimate conclusion, the finals, the grand finals even, of the 10th iteration of the ETF2L 6v6 Nations Cup. Getting a strange sense of deja vu because we've been in this exact situation for 3 Nations Cups in a row now, where it is England and France facing off in these finals once again, and maybe this time the outcome shall be different than the last two. Who knows? Maybe England is going to win their 4th Nations Cup in a row at this point. I don't know. We'll have to see. That's going to be something that we'll unearth in the next 2 hours or so. Anyway, hi. Before I get ahead of myself, I'm certainly joined by JMax on production and Ben on the mic. How you doing, man?
Doing very good, yeah. It's a weird to say the deja vu. Of course, these teams played plenty of times before, but let it be known, if anyone caught that game that just finished a few minutes ago, this could have been very, very different, right? Sweden were
Mhm.
5 minutes away from taking that series in 2 maps, right? The Sunshine game was going so well for them, but the French, they showed some mettle. They battled back, and that's the sort of fight you need, right? In these like cup scenarios, these big knockout brackets towards the end for the playoffs, and it could be good for them. But as you've said, England have come up top on the last couple of times these teams have met in Nations Cups, but of course with star-studded rosters in either of these teams, these can really go either way. So I think we've got the maps coming up. We've got a process, I believe, is going to be our first one
Mhm.
on the board. So what are your thoughts like coming into this?
I mean, it's France's pick. They did just beat Sweden handily on this map, so maybe they're just rolling with momentum, right? They basically took a very small break here, 20 minutes between the matches, between their semifinal matchups. So very well might just be willing to roll with momentum here, take it right away into process, and then who knows, Sunshine right after, right? And then Granary as a decider. It's an interesting choice of maps. Certainly, because both of these teams played these maps already today and won on them. So we'll
Yep.
see how that goes.
Yeah, but
As we're already getting started.
yeah, we are getting started. But in particular, I think that French third map on process, literally less than an hour ago, that one started, and they're clearly feeling confident in it to pick it again. But here we go, rollout number 1 on the way on the French pick of process. Let's see what they're going to cook up for this first mid on their own pick.
Maybe they'll just continue right where they left off. Maybe it's going to be different now. They have to answer to a different team and different strategies. For now, just a little bit of spamming across the point, as you're used to with these mid-fights. Peeking and prod and soldiers taking high ground, getting juggled around a little bit, but no frags falling either way just yet, as they just keep backing out whenever they're low, getting healed up. Otto and Mula doing as much as they can to keep their entire teams alive, and just off of positioning alone, it looks like England finally wanted to do something, popping a high bomb, getting some ground, and they find a couple of frags with that bomb, coordinated by both soldiers. Matter of fact, off the follow-up, they're just getting everybody killed. It's only Mula and Brugman left, and the latter of those two is definitely getting caught here as well. So it's only Mula trying to make his way back to the spawn room to live for the foreseeable future.
Yeah, they call it kill corner for a reason, right? In France, they were caught there for a little bit too long, losing so many players there. Those bombs landing above on the sewer as well was so well coordinated from the England team, as they're going to get midpoint capped up, going to get second capped up too. But like you say, these spawners were here just in time. There wasn't really any real threat over towards Mula on that escape. So Mula's going to have Ubercharge up and ready. Demul coming up on Engineer to get a gun set up, and we might be here for the long haul as England sort of get themselves ready, get themselves prepared, and see what they can uncork into this first stalemate of the map.
It's gonna be not as easy going as I could have wanted it to be. Mula being too slippery means he's gonna have that Uber to protect Lasuf as well, and the more time they give the Frenchies to set up on Lasuf, the more time they give them to get that sentry up and running, to get everything situated in the ways they would want, and that's gonna make it even harder to try and break this ult as best they can. That being said, Ryan just waddles in on the side with his team, and they pick up Brugman immediately as the sentry now getting spammed as well. Lots of pressure onto it. They do eventually lose KN and Ryan there, just being a bit too ambitious, but still, that's a lot of pressure to just get for free, basically. The French has given up a lot of ground there. I'm surprised they got away pretty much unscathed at the end of the day.
Yeah, those important kills came through, and yeah, Kane and Ryan going down is going to be just enough. But there was a moment there where the spam coming in, the gun goes weak, there's a soldier down for the spam war, and it's looking quite dicey over for France. But they managed to stabilise things out, decide to come up on, get their gun re-healed up, and QB currently on the spy, I believe, just checking the off-classes, wasn't a sniper for a moment. So I want to see if QB decides to stick with that one. Can be so powerful, peeking over in towards lobby. But actually, it's the sticky bombs that are going to be finding this first frag. As England now, player down, they're going to have to back up, reset, and maybe look for some alternatives.
I mean, QB wants that angle. He's rearing for that shutter pick. Obviously, it's not as easy as that. they're already aware the sniper on the other side. Otto is in no harm's way, and a nice little headshot rung up on the soldier is gonna at least deny him some ground for a while, but that sniper is not gonna do much just standing in spawn as well. If they're not getting anything denied with this, and they're just waiting for England to make a move at this point, basically. They're not really able to be as aggressive as they might want to either.
It's so hard, right? With the gun in front of the point like that, there's a sniper, there's runs the soldier up in the barrels too, and that means that one is the direction where the pressure is able to come in. But Ryan this time, doing the same bomb we saw previously on rollout where it had success, did not have the same success as this time, as Brugman is the one to win out that fight and take a fair bit of space. But England well aware of it. They're going to back up and reset once more, but really solid defense so far. Like, apart from that one soldier getting through rollout in the first attempt, like, France have just held tall, and they might be grinding this one out.
They have a fair but iron fist ruling this last point with for the time being. I'm surprised they didn't try to go a little bit more aggressive, maybe get Cuba to have a little bit of a peek through lobby or anything like that when, you know, England backed off, but I respect them being passive. They're just biding their time. Worst case, they're going for the round reset at this point. It's probably advisable with how passive they've been. They're no point to push out. It's on England to make a mistake as they send in both the soldiers trying to get anything on the last point to get the force. I can't believe it. They just sneak past the sentry, they overwhelm it completely. Even if they both go down for it, that's a huge force to get.
Yeah, the sentry gun is all well and good, but it can only shoot one of the soldiers at once, right? If both the soldiers bomb through, it can't kill both of them. And great coordination from Ryan and Pappy there, getting straight in. No one else is there to be found on the England side. They're all backing out. They're all getting themselves set up on second. 3 spawns come in. Big advantage over for the Red England team. And this is exactly what they were looking for. 1 minute 38 left on the round timer. And they've got a big Ubercharge advantage ready to walk in.
It's a very curious one for them to fail at this point. It's almost unfailable as a last push. As the Uber comes through, they're trying to take as much ground as they possibly can. The Frenchies already tanked up as best they can as well with that heavy. Unfortunately, the Uber is faded though for England, and they have found any frags whatsoever. Matter of fact, Pappy's the first to fall, and Cuba's just laying down so much damage from up top, so much aura he's projecting as that heavy that they just feared it on the English side. They had to back out immediately, and suddenly the tables have turned. Now France has got themselves almost a complete Uber to respond with, and they're actually keen to take this out into second as well off the back of that one Pappy pick. Unfortunately for them, they're not finding much else, and they're just getting fragged left, right, and center.
This could potentially a really big mistake, right? There's only 3 players left up, and yes, there's an Uber ad, but how long is this Uber going to be in the hands of Müller? There's pressure coming onto him. Müller holding on for now. There's so much pressure as the Uber charge finally forced out. 4 players left up now for England, and there's still 40 seconds left. There is going to be time for another Uber push when these spawners come in. There's 2 more scouts to come up, and maybe that was a slight overstep there from France, right? Pushing out Vlast with even players in Uber ad. Like, it is theoretically doable, but if you get caught out, and they were caught indecisive there, were they going to commit, were they going to not? The soldiers getting caught in, and that's the price you pay. And now, we said before it would maybe unfailable. They're going to have another go, and this time it's coming in through 1.
It's a much closer one as well. Immediately shutting down Ron's, actually killing him before he could even get anything done with a sniper. Finally, the Uber's popped as well. They take as much ground as they can. Sentry taken care of. Still Sticky's on the point, but with the scouts clearing them off, they finally get the cap. And you hate to see it if you're looking for France here, because I think all they had to do was just wait a little bit longer. Maybe, you know, not even push out, just go for the round reset instead, and this could have been a completely different story.
Yeah, I respect the effort, but it's such a dicey position when you're trying to push out of last there, even with the Uber ad, and yeah, they're punished for it. They could have just waited the extra minute and got themselves back to the mid-fight, but as we stand, with just over 6 minutes left to play, excuse me, it's 1-0 up for the side of England. And last time their mid-fight was pretty confident. They were just winning out these long-range spam duels. It seems like we're getting more of the same here with these long-range spams.
Yeah, just a little bit of that for the time being. A little bit of ground being taken though by the French soldiers now, at least for the time being, but just the usual exchange. No team willing to commit too much just yet until we see an inevitable high bomb from somebody, or somebody just dealing a crap ton of damages. Alien is the first to fall. That's a crucial pick for the English to find here, finding the Mool as well as a follow-up. They only lose Ryan on their own side, and it's slowly but surely the war of attrition turning in their favor, with Rons getting taken down as well, and the remaining French players. Brugman just dies somehow, trying to escape. Remaining French players, QB and Mula, do get out though. They do hang on to that Uber once more, so if they're comfortable holding last for another 5 minutes, I guess they can do that again, I suppose.
Yeah, well, the hold was good, right? While they were on last, like, the hold was strong, but this time there's still a spawner to wait for, right? Brugman is only just coming up, so that's conceded a little bit of space over towards 1 and 2. With the gun getting spammed down already, there's Nicky actually trying to get in too, as he's maybe getting traded out for that one, but actually Ryan is going to... Okay, never mind. I thought there was potentially danger over towards Mula there, but Mula is able to get out and escape. 3 players going down, though, for that push, and now is really an opportunity for him to get out.
Well, so much for that. Alien just walked into a sticky trap by Gigi, and Brugman can't quite hit that one either. You hate to see it, just slightly off on the air shot, but at least they get second off the back of it, buy themselves a little bit more time. No force onto Auto, though. A couple of respawners they're waiting for as well. Matter of fact, Brugman probably won't be there in time for this last hold. He's still on a 6-second timer now, and England are already taking lots of ground in lobby, ready to go. There's not much of a sentry or anything defensive to write home about, and so much damage as well as they're already taking so much ground on the left side here. No Ubers haven't to be used yet either. A little bit of cap time as well. Nikki just sticking that for a while. Ryan gets taken care of, and Kiki as well, though. Okay, they're finding frags on both sides, but more so on the French side. They are getting the kills they need to shut down this push and maybe get themselves out here as well. Kane and Pappy the only ones trying to hold them back, and
Pappy's on the medic. Pappy goes straight
my
Mula
God.
gets the force.
He slips in just like that. Gets that force. Auto responds with his own, though. He did take a lot of damage as well outside. So it's still a fight for the second point. It's not over just yet. QB's willing to commit to this with his team as well. They're just here trying to pressure back these English players, and they're doing an okay job for the time being. As the reinforcements arrive from both sides, though, the tides can always turn one way or the other, and it looks like at least Ryan trying to make a move with a high bomb, but just having to give up on that one. The Mole going down as well means that even if they hang on to it for the time being, it's a war that they're already losing on the French side. Ryan goes down.
Alien down.
Gonna bite him a little bit. Alien down though, and Nikki almost in there with a crucial frag as well. Does get taken care of though. But even if they cut off Pappy now, it's still not much that the Frenchies can do. They're okay, that's a lot of damage actually onto Gigi, but I think he escapes that.
Yeah, this is just a scrappy back and forth. It's just scrappy back and forth. It is going to favour the French eventually, right? As they just get their spawners in. Nikki and Pappy both going to be coming up on second in a moment. But only 4 players here on the England side as they're waiting around. They're going to be very careful because Mula's built up an Uber, and Auto hasn't, and Auto dies. It's such a high Uber percentage. Great play there in from Rons. As GG taken down also as 5 players now on the French side, able to just solidify their position, get control of this second point, deny these forward spawns, and they can start rolling forward. This is a huge advantage for them.
This is their chance. They haven't looked this in control for the first 10 minutes of the map, but now's the chance for France to actually make a move here, get something on the board, get back into this match after taking a little bit of time to maybe cool down, go off the previous match, still getting back into the swing of things. They have a prime opportunity to try and take this into a round 1. Full Uber, ready to go. Obviously, English side very much set up for defense as well, but immediately big bomb in by Alien just to get into that combo. Lots of damage. They clean it up as well. Auto Pappy already dead, no Sentry to deal with. The Heavy is in spawn, basically taken care of as well. So much free cap time that they can get already as well. Only a couple players to deal with, and there you go. That is a 1-0 for both teams now.
Yeah, great Uber charge coming in through 1 there, getting so much damage up in Panic Room, killing pretty much everyone in front of that right spawn shutter, and yeah, great, well coordinated there, and back equalised again, and it's all off the back of that that weird long drawn out fight between mid and second, and the French team, they just never backed down, they never gave up, and they kept just recycling their heals and just keeping enough players coming out of the spawn queue and just playing together that, yeah, they were able to battle back, and they were able to get that all-important Uber advantage off the back of it, and seeing this time, a bit of a turn of pace on the French side. They're going to rotate on the clockwise direction. They're going to start bringing the fight to the English.
We'll see how well that goes for them. Pappy bombs it deep onto the combo, but doesn't get that frag onto Mula just yet. Mula barely scraping by, unfortunately, finally gets cleaned up anyway by Nikki. And matter of fact, it looks to be a wipe with only a Brugman remaining for the time being on the French side. And, well, he's being a bit cheeky. He's hiding in the English side of sewer. And maybe they're aware, maybe they're not, but he's not doing much right now. They're just kind of hoping that he can be cheeky, maybe get something, but if he's waiting for too long, that English team's just going to move forward, and then he's missing from the next fight. So, no, they're definitely aware, though. You got GG putting down stickies everywhere, looking everywhere. They're definitely aware that this guy didn't die. He's got to be behind somewhere, and they're looking for him already.
Yeah, absolutely. And like you say, there's a limited impact, right? If you can go for some sort of push or some sort of play, if you know that Brugman is too far away to help, right, that's one less soldier going to be spamming a choke point. That's one less soldier able to put pressure on that enemy combo, and it could maybe be conditions for a push. But as it stands currently, Ryan and KN are on the duties of going back and hunting for Brugman, who's currently just sat all the way back in rollout. Has been spotted out finally, but 2 players being dragged all the way back to spawn, is meaning that Brugman, despite dying now, is going to by enough time that by the time these players get forward from the England side, maybe Rougemont is going to be spawning up and ready to defend. But for now, temporary 6v5, so England might be wanting to move on this.
Now they're certainly taking a lot of ground on second already, but Ron's response with a bomb of his own gets deep onto Otto. So much damage as well. Nobody can clean it up though. Lives with like 10 health. Just narrowly escapes that one. One more rocket by Ron's, one slightly less misplaced one was all it took, but it's enough for England to keep in this fight anyway, keep up the pressure on second, especially with another player down for France now. It's another war of numbers. They're just winning on that side.
Kane's just walked all the way through IT. Is going to force Müller back so far, and that means the Alien can be caught out by a really nicely timed bomb there. They keep following in the damage too, so Devilman down now, and a trade for a scout is... These plays, again, this is a mirror of before, right? These scrappy fights to second, there's a occasional sack plays coming in, but it's all just a war of attrition. And last time France, they did well in this one, but with a Devilman for a moment, it's looking potentially a bit dicey.
Yeah, it certainly looks like they're winning a flank fight at the very least. Ryan traded out for Rougemont, so it's still in this. Nicky's in deep as well, trying to run across point, but he eventually gets cleaned up, and that is probably it for England. That's the impetus to leave, as Ron's bombs in and actually gets the force out of Otto as well. Oh, what a play. What a huge play. That keeps France in this. They have a chance to actually get out now.
Are we basically getting a mirror of that previous round, because you have these scrappy fights on French second, and it's ended with them in a really big Uber advantage. I guess they're a point behind where they were previously, but now they can start to walk in. Kane going to try and go for a bit of a flank through IT, perhaps going to go for a backup or some kind of wrap play back in on towards Müller. But for the moment, the rest of the England combo, they're forced all the way back out towards Choke, and they've got to be very careful, because this Uber from Müller could come in at any moment.
There's a backup as well though. KN is behind on second, and they actually forced the Uber out on the French side. They're just trying to roll across the point, but nobody's gone back to deal with KN. So
he wins the
second point.
KN wins the fight against Rons, jumps off the point, and then craters. Oh my me! I believe Kane was getting cleaned up anyway by Rougemont, who was going to be coming in and was easily going to sweep up the 10 HP scout. But for now, the Uber charge being stripped away from Müller with that force coming in on mid means that Otto is not that far behind by way of Uber. So it means potentially this last push has got a bit of a time-sensitive nature to it, but GG's down, meaning no Devilman means there might be time to push.
Let it take a stride.
Feels like it.
Yeah, they're just taking the stride. 2 players down for the side of England means that they can at least pressure a little bit into last on the French side. Unfortunately, they lose both scouts though, trying to do exactly that, and that's all she wrote for that. Even if they traded out for Ryan, it's just not gonna buy them enough. And now England actually takes the initiative instead, takes us out into second, take down both soldiers as well. It's suddenly a Mula left all alone, has no alien to defend him, and that is a wipe off the back of just some unfortunate chains of events, with a couple of forward spawners, Damul and QB trying to do their best here, maybe just catching somebody out, but that's not gonna happen. Nicky's already aware, and they're just shutting down that forward sniper as best they can.
Yeah, that's a really huge win there, and that late death from Alien and Mula means they are going to just about get a spawn in onto the second point, but they're spawning in with 100 disad. There's a gun coming up in the spawn door from D-Mule. There's a bit of a surprise attempt as the push comes in. Nicky ends up getting caught by the sticky bomb as they're actually blasted down into his face by Papi as the overcharge is forced out, and this is not ideal really in any sense of the word for the England side. This overcharge advantage is completely gone. Müller is now going to be the one with there's still a soldier in behind. The gun gets dealt with, but second point might be getting capped up. I do not even know what to think about this position.
Rons does not know that KN was walking up behind him, gets just as pincered by the flank players there. Unfortunately, he wasn't going to do his cheeky play, so he's going back to meet up with his team on last as well. But fortunately for the Frenchies, they're in a good position to at least hold this for the time being, right? They almost got an Uber ready. They got a heavy setup, or like willing to go. Maybe they're even going to go for the sentry now. The Mole switches back to engineer instead. They know they've got some time to work with. They have an opportunity to try and hold this point again. Unfortunately for them trying to push out hasn't all gone that well in recent memory, so we'll have to see how things shake out once this hold comes through and England maybe messes up, and Lord knows how this could go. Anything could happen at this point. We're 1-all. These teams are fairly evenly matched so far, so I'm looking forward to seeing how they approach this one.
Yeah, absolutely. There was another attempt at a bomb coming through. Ryan bombing straight onto the medic. One big rocket over towards Müller, but the second one is not there to be found. It was almost a carbon copy of that play that got the force out onto Müller in the previous attempt. But this time, both the soldiers go down with no fruit spared, and that now means the French side, I always said forfeits for a moment, then I'm just seeing all the forfeits players on this team. They're going to be the ones taking space forward. They're the ones trying to poke and prod. They're trying to get in on towards Auto, who is just hiding behind this spire, ducking and weaving behind these sniper sightlines. And now with Ron's going down, there's potentially a chance to win again.
Yeah, QB's still on that sniper though as well, trying to maybe pick somebody off here, peeking doors, seeing if you can get a cheeky little frag to slow down these English players more, but she's not getting the angles he wants, gets pushed back into spawn, and instead they're gonna have to fight this the old-fashioned way. Already a frag onto a couple players on the English side though, and despite that essentially not being much to write home about, Dumul just using those revenge crits for good and taking down Kayan instead, and they've bought themselves another bit of time here. Matter of fact, they maybe have bought themselves an opportunity to at least pressure onto second a little bit. They're peeking out a little bit, seeing what they can do. Realistically, they've learned from their mistakes though. They're gonna take it slow. They're gonna take it steady. 3 players down, one of them not being the medic, is not enough to go off of for this French team at the very least.
Yeah, absolutely not, especially with Kiva being caught out too, means they just had to sit it back, they decided to wait it out, but the gun already spammed down. That's objective number 1 for a lot of these pushes, and that's the objective that is going to allow Ryan to get all the way behind, up into Panic Room. He's going to draw some eyes behind us. Rebuild gun also getting taken down. Pappy up there to join in Panic Room too. There's a party with the soldiers up above this French last point, but it's not going to be going the way of the English because, yeah, pretty much everyone falls once more.
They find Alien as Kayan manages to sneak that kill in, but immediately gets picked off as well. So, I mean, you get the demo pick, it's a nice one, but it's not going to get you a last push when you sack 3 players for it. French team just holding on very nicely onto this point. Again, probably willing to go for the round reset. 2 minutes of grueling trench warfare left if that's what they opt to go for, and England just really struggling to crack this nut in any way possible right now, not finding the exact answer they want. They got it once after the very tail end of a long first round, but how are they gonna get it again? I don't know. They're struggling right now.
It's so tough. The last couple of times they've got the gun spam down, it's been sort of a bit of a Hail Mary from the scouts and soldiers to sort of run in, but the French team, even without the gun there to support, have been winning out those fights for the most part. But this time, Rons is not going to be winning that fight out against Nikki and Pappy over in 4, and that's the opportunity for a trade to come in. No more messing about from England now. They're going to run in, try and get an Uber exchange going, and Muller does eventually use back, but it's going to be so much later. There's going to be no real chance of an immediate counter push until now. It's Faded Kayan going to be barging in through 4, going to try and make as much space as possible here, and actually with the heavy going down, there's potentially a chance here. Soldiers flying into the sky too. Rons is weak, D-Mule's down, and somehow this might just be working for the English side. Rons getting blasted down in the spawn door, the cap comes through, and that round basically came out of nowhere.
And somehow that repush just comes in and England finds all the frags. They suddenly start hitting all the damage and killing every French player that is just mildly caught out of position. Perhaps Frenchie's not expecting that repush to come in so quickly. Maybe not ready for it, but it gets England that second round. They scored a goal, and now they got to hang on to it for another 9 more minutes. So it's not far from over. France can still very much so come back into this, get another round, take it to golden cap, maybe win a regulation time. Who knows how they approach it? They're very aggressive on this first mid, straight off the bat, forcing England to rotate around the other side as well. No frags fall on either side just yet, though, and it's actually going to be Ryan the first to fall. As he gets a bit caught out of position. Pappy maybe trying to get somewhere, gets into IT to clean up Rougeman, but trades for Rons at the end. 2 for 1, I suppose. No soldiers either side now, but positioning-wise, curiously, somehow, England is winning. They've wrapped behind now. They've gone through sewer, are in the enemy team's choke. It is a very confusing mid-fight, because this is not how they're supposed to go. Both medics have their Ubers ready at this point as well. It's going to be quite a long one. We're in for the long haul with this one, and Otto's taking quite a lot of damage, so he might be forced sooner rather than later as well. He's going to be the first to use. Obviously, Muller responsible with his own Uber as well. Everybody's shiny. Nobody really takes damage except for QB, who unfortunately is caught outside of it. And as the Uber's fate, the post-Uber, the dust settles, this is where the real fight may begin, and it looks like England just wins it off of positioning alone.
Yeah, just about. What a curious mid-fight again, getting behind into enemy sewer. It was a bit of a sketchy one there for England, but with Ubers traded out finally, and everyone else is just able to make their way out. No medics falling, and that means even Ubers is going to be the name of the game as Midpoint finally gets up after a mid-fight. I think they'll last over a minute and a half. It was a pretty crazy one, but now we've been here before. pushing it in onto the French second. We've actually it's been almost all the game here on this French second point. And Alien is going to be taken down very, very soon. Demul week 2 as the pressure just does not stop from this England team. They're charging in once more and they're losing a couple of players for it and taking a heck of a lot of damage. But at the end of the day, Soldier and Demo down on the French side. It's not a bad trade-off for the England team as they're still sitting in choke. They're still interested. I mean, those sticky bombs to deny this. Why not?
England playing as aggressively as if this was a football match with 2 minutes left on the clock and they have to score a goal to equalize because they're just keeping that up. And I mean, finally they're backing out a second, knowing that, you know, France is going to come back with a bit of defense here, but still so long, so much pressure. Now finally putting Kan on an off class as well, trying out something new here with the sniper play, seeing if this could be the ace up their sleeve that they might need to blow things right open. They're certainly not expecting it on the French side for the time being, probably. They haven't seen it out of the opponents just yet, so it could have a surprise element, but as soon as Kan's identity is revealed on that sniper class, it all goes out the window. The surprise only works one time, and well, Mula is on top of that point. It's a dangerous position to be in as med, but I think he's already dropped down. He's realized that something might be afoot sooner rather than later, and as soon as that shutter opens, one shot, doesn't quite hit it, gets a nice little headshot on the Soldier, though.
Yeah,
enough to follow up though. Nobody's really following up just yet. Lots of spam, lots of damage. He's trying so hard to get another shot off somewhere, but it doesn't look like it's gonna be happening. Kan not quite hitting what he wants, but they're giving him so much room. Nobody on France really willing to commit into shutting down that sight line either. Finally, just a little bit of spam into sewers is gonna try to shut that down, but they gave him so much time, so much room, and yet he still couldn't quite hit the shots. Nicky even goes down for his troubles. Door stop no more. He's not keeping that door open.
But now there's no scouts.
Back up.
There's no scouts now for the England side with that sniper up as well, so this is potentially dangerous, right? There's so much harder to deny those bombs, and France, they're smelling blood. They're trying to walk in. They're trying to take whatever space they can. Runs straight in onto Auto, who's forced out. No pocket scout there to defend the Witness Gaming medic, who is stripped of that Uber charge. One kill going their way over onto Rons, but that is it. That is all that one is going to find. And Mula perfectly safe behind his own side of the midpoint. Going to be trying to cap this now, but actually Ryan bombing in late is going to force out finally. Just that one soldier coming over the top is enough to force out the Uber charge. Okay, a nice little surf there up to Spire in the meantime, but yeah, 5 minutes left. Uber charge is back to not quite equal, but nearly equal. And this is maybe the first time in the game, right, that the French have really had to like go for a proper pressure cook into like a stalemate situation. And there's less than 5 minutes left, so they've not got a great deal of time to work this one out.
Kan, 800 shots taken, accuracy not looking so good right now. Those logs are going to be a bit shambolic by the end of it, but look, he's still putting on pressure with that sniper before finally deciding that he's going to waltz back now and go do something more productive, aka switch back to scout. But you know, putting on a lot of pressure for that entire fight. I think France may be fearing the sniper, still respecting him enough to, you know, take some time. They still also have a player behind. They got to deal with Ryan. Bujamin is now returned back behind to try and deal with that. Has some help as well from the mole. They got to deal with a soldier behind, and him pulling 2 players is already buying a lot of time for England. That's time they're taking out of this round, and the Ubers are equalized. Rons gets taken down as well in the meantime on the mid fight that is currently unfolding, and the Ubers have been exchanged, so Ryan is just in a perfect position to come swooping in as this French team retreats, trying to get out. The medic team does immediately get onto the choke. Oh no!
Launched into the skybox. I've never seen anything quite like it. The Ubered French medic just blasted vertically upwards like a SpaceX launch there, right in front of that choke point for the French side. But at the end of the day, Mula's legs not quite strong enough for that one. Are going to break on impacts, and Mula is sent back to the respawn queue. So Auto going to be up with about a 40% advantage by the time this spawn comes in. And just in the back of that, these players behind, Ryan did so well there to drag those 2 players back, because that basically meant when the Ubers were traded on mid, it was a temporary 5v3 in favour of England. Like, in a trade situation like that, it's no wonder that players are getting caught on the way out. And again, Auto now going to be building up towards his Uber charge. 3 minutes left, and this is really not where you want to be if you're a round down in your French.
Yeah, you gotta not only have the most insane hold of your life right now. An insane shot by Rons could turn the tide, certainly, but you gotta go coast to coast right after without stumbling even once along the way, and it's such a daunting task to pull off. You really have to be completely locked in on this, and all it takes is for England to not make too many little mistakes, and then they'll have this map secured already. So it's on France to try and make something happen. Dumoul maybe being an aggressive sniper, trying to go for some sort of hero shot. Ryan already watching that door, though. QB coming up on the spy as well. They're sending anything they can at this point. Sending their best, seeing what can possibly happen with these distractions galore as QB tries to make his way forward. It's worked before, it may work again. But if Otto just turns around once, it's all over.
Yeah, Pappy's blasted away from 2. He's going to open up a little bit of space. Potentially, these soldiers just get some pressure in from top lobby. But Pappy's straight back there, just takes it out, takes it back, and it is straight there back for defense again. And it's so hard, right? Pushing out of last at the best of times, but in even Uber situations, even players, it gets all the more difficult. And yeah, they're very aware that Deeble is trying to open this one shutter and try and work his way in on that sniper, and it's going to be so tough. The soldiers jumping into the face, the stickies there all the time, and the timer ticks down. There's 1 minute 50 left and no progress as of yet for the French side. It seems like QB has got in a decent position. Maybe that's the threat they're going for here, but Ron's been taken down, not ideal at all.
QBD Cloak's finally trying to catch up to this team, see if he can get a stab of some kind. Can't even get the stab onto Gigi. It's so over. The Uber's forced out of the French side as well as 2 of their players are down. Nice headshot by Demul at least to kill Otto in the tail end, but it doesn't matter. It does not turn the tides of the fight because you're not killing anybody that's actually standing on the point. And that's making it 3-1 for England. It was an interesting strategy. I think France were like trying to really hard to pressure with the sniper, force the English players into certain positions, especially Otto, into behind the point. But QB was just never in a position to actually decloak and go for that stab. Otto just too active, like a little ferret running around all over the place, couldn't quite get behind him, and unfortunately that play didn't work out. Now they're out of time, now they're down 2 rounds. It is officially over with the French dream of a winning process. So GG go next, I guess.
Yeah, and on their own map pick as well, it's not exactly not exactly what you want to see if you're a Frenchman or a French team supporter. There's yeah, no time for any more rounds at this point. There's a 3-1, looks like it with the final score. But again, I've got to respect that play right at the end. There's 3-4 minutes left, and you go all in. You go for the snipe. You go for your spy. You go and try and really press and try and get that that play onto Auto. But the English team, they were still aware of it, right? Auto was constantly 180ing. The soldiers were locking in those doorways, and yeah, there's not really too much you can do. But respect for trying it. Respect for not waiting too long before going all in with that. Actually, is there time for the round? There is time for the round. I don't know, it's not a 3-1, it's a 4-1 to England on this first map, and yeah, what a way this could have gone. I always thought this would be a lot closer, right? Especially it's 1-1 for so long in the middle, but at the end of the game, I guess the French side had to really start throwing all in, and they're going to pay the price for that.
Perhaps running out of stamina ever so slightly towards the tail end as well. To be fair, both of these teams have just gone through a semi-final, but it was a lot more smooth sailing for the English squad than the French squad, right? The Frenchies having to go through a grueling series against the Swedish team.
It was like max time on every map, right? It was like a 3-2 cost map, and then 2 30-minute long 5CP maps, then into like a 10-minute break, and then this is it's an intense one, right?
Yeah, definitely isn't easy on the stamina necessarily, but hey, they put up a good fight for the first little half, and I'm sure we'll be able to glean some of that as well from the numbers once they show up on the screen. Where we'll be able to analyze whatever we wish out of those wonderful numbers. And you can kind of tell this was a bit of a slow match because nobody got over 300 DPM. That's always the first number to look for.
Yeah, absolutely, and it was like quite a slow and like grindy kind of affair, right? It was a lot of sort of jostling for position, particularly around those second points, right? It was never really sort of a ferocious. You see a lot of games where it's like constant like flip flops across the midpoint. It was mostly flip flops on the second points instead, with mostly just like position being taken and lost, and yeah, a lot more like long range sort of spamming and jostling rather than anything too chaotic, but the end of the day, the English team, they played that so well, and yeah, we can see their scouts having a pretty fun time here on this map, 1910 and 17-8 respectively for those two. But yeah, what more can be said, right? It was pretty comfortable in that regard.
Yeah, and just looking at like head-to-head matchups as well between players. I mean, overall it's rather evenly matched. I mean, I don't see like anything stand out necessarily. On
3 deaths on GG is kind of crazy, right? Though.
Yeah, that guy didn't die. He just didn't want to die. But beyond that, though, I mean, yeah, soldiers doing soldier things. Demol doing not a lot of damage, but still getting a lot of cleanup done. So can't blame him at the end of the day. It worked out. He was there when he was needed. So even the medics evenly matched in deaths. And as far as Ubers go, I mean, Mula even got one extra off. So
Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, at the end of the day, the only stat that really matters is the one at the very top, right? The 4-1. And at the end of the day, yeah, France did have some opportunities, and to be fair to them, they took most of the opportunities that they had, right? Like it wasn't as if it was one where they were getting stuck with a recurring problem. It just seemed like in open play, especially the mid fights, right, just were going England's way every single time. And
mm.
despite England messing up a couple of those early pushes, it didn't really matter because they had so many chances given to them that at the end of the day, enough of them are going to work.
When you have that much possession of the entire map, then you're kind
Yeah.
of free to do whatever you want, even if not much actually happens during it. Eventually, you just get enough attempts, and once something's gonna work. If you send enough things, something's going to work. If the French team is maybe too respectful, maybe a bit too timid in trying to push out after that one time it failed. Like, yeah, they failed it one time, and then that probably kind of screwed them. They were like, let's not try that again. And that might have been when they had opportunities to push out and maybe turn the tides, they just didn't, right? So
Yeah, especially because
it's,
they had better times like later on, right? The time that they
yeah,
failed was like an even players with like Uberad situation. I think there was some later on where they were like up 3 players, and okay, yes, there is still danger, but 3 players when there's no soldiers in the enemy team, like it's you can have a bit of a look in, right? You can go for something, but yeah, I guess they're scarred a little bit, and like you said, I'd have ripped them apart if they pushed out there like 6v3 and messed it up and got around. I'd have been the first one to rip into them. So I guess nothing can really be said in that regard.
yeah, it's a dominating thing to go up against, a daunting thing to happen to you. And well, maybe things are going to be different on Sunshine. Map picks, this is England's pick. They we always talk about them as if they truly matter a lot, but at the end of the day, so often you see that it kind of doesn't. The better team will just win the map. It doesn't necessarily matter who picked what, because if we're looking at these teams, French completely filled with people who have won Prem, England almost, not quite, but still, filled with incredible talent as well. All these players know how to play these maps. They have the synergy with their teams for the most part. A lot of these guys have just played together even on normal teams outside of the Nations Cup. So realistically, maps, whatever they end up playing, probably doesn't matter that much. It's just going to be down to who's performed better on Sunshine today. And well, the French want to have a chance at actually winning a Nations Cup, especially against England for once, and not having this be the France-England hat trick for England. Then now's their chance to make that happen.
Yeah, exactly. And just back to the point of like the map picks and stuff. I do agree, and I think it's especially the case, right, for Nations Cup games, because let's be honest, I know you see these teams play basically a lot. It's not like I imagine a lot of these teams are scrumming for crazy amounts of time or thinking, oh, we're going to
Yeah,
pick Sunshine because we've got something crazy cooked up, some like pocket strap we're going to pull or anything like that. It's a lot more based on the vibes and the feel, and yeah, obviously all these players, a large amount of these players have at least appeared in Prem finals in the past, and a lot of them even gone one better than that. And yeah, at the end of the day, it's gonna be Sunshine, a map that the French have just come back on a pretty big comeback on. Right, the Sweden game, they really bounced back and showed some real mettle there from a 2-1 deficit to win that 3-2, and they might be needing some sort of magic like that again, because that first map was pretty convincing over for England as round 2 underway. The French 1-0 down in the series, potentially the final map of Nations Cup number 10, unless France have anything to say about it.
well, they do like their comebacks. We were convinced that they might lose to Sweden until they did it. So it's always possible that this is where they operate best. A little bit of pressure put on, a little bit of extra edge on it is what they need. And well, they've already got Ronson behind, just denying Pappy from doing anything as Bruchman falls up as well. But he's gonna be the first to fall. Ryan gets taken down as well. Now both the soldiers on the French side, they're still missing out of the mid fight as well, and lots of damage being laid on to the French team. They do find Gigi though, and it looks like it's actually a 1 mid for the Frenchies.
Yeah, it was once the soldiers had gone down behind, it just seemed like the English attack was pretty toothless, right? Players getting caught on the point, players getting caught on the retreating through Valley, and like I said before, after the way the first map went, this is the perfect start to our map number 2. They're in control early. There's no need to rush. There's still plenty of this game gone. We've only had a mere minute of this one, and they're already the ones in the advantage situation, already the ones poking it into last. There's gun getting set up, there's a pyro there to defend it, so it's not going to be easy to get in, especially with runs going down. That's going to put a halt to the proceedings just for a moment, but here's a position that we haven't really seen the French in so far in this series at all, right? We saw them for just mere moments in that first process map, but Sunshine, an entirely different beast. And seems actually like Demuel going onto Sniper is the first thing that they're going to try.
immediately with the shenanigans. You love to see it. I mean, look, if they had a little bit of momentum heading into this first round, but they are feeling a little bit more confident and trying to go for the sniper play, who knows? It could be something that immediately, like, England might not expect it right off the bat, so it could catch them out. That's a tough shot, man. He's ADing, he's ADing. Can he hit the shot onto? No, he can't hit the shot on the Gigi. Oh, he's ADing so much. You gotta. Honestly, those are easier to hit than if he wasn't looking at him. But still, you know, it's a tough one. Yeah, you can't blame him for cracking under pressure a little bit. Still, they're gonna keep up the sniper pressure. Nikki counter sniping though, and does win that duel immediately. Now having the opportunity as well to maybe go forward, but there's a force just out of that as well. Pappy slips in from above, gets the force onto Mula, and it's suddenly looking a little less nice for the Frenchies here. They still only have a player down who's now respawned, so England maybe not the keenest on pushing out yet, but they've certainly bought themselves a lot of time.
Yeah, absolutely, and they've still got the pyro and still got the gunner, which to me is signalling that they're not too keen on the idea of pushing out any further. We saw a very similar situation in map number 1 where France decided to go for a push out, and it was came to bite them straight back in the back. Well, this time England, they're just sitting up shop, despite getting the force. They're just going to chill here, wait for this Uber charge to get built up again from Mula, and yeah, they've waited another couple of minutes down on this time, and it's all about that 5-minute clock, right? How long can you hang on? You've only got to do 5 minutes before you get to the mid-fight, so 2 minutes off those 5 already over. Mula just about getting to 90%, so we'll see what plan number 2 is, because plan number 1 was D-Mill on the sniper, which, to be quite honest, didn't really get too much done, so we'll see what plan number 2 is. No more classes yet, no funny off-weapon choices either, but see some grouping in towards this top left, see if they can get this gun down.
Nicky's doing his best, right clicking everything away though, and Alien actually goes quite low, just trying to spam around the corner as well, so essentially it's going to remain for now, and having trouble just trying to get their angles in here. Maybe Rougeman will just send it anyway, jump in, or just turn the corner while overhealed. Alien is actually going to just die to spam. That is dire. That is dire if you're trying to push in. Again, a single demo pick, probably not enough to get England to commit to pushing out too much, but it's certainly enough to make France back up a little bit. Give them some time and some room, and, you know, burn another 15, 20 seconds while waiting for Alien to respawn, so you're just wasting your time here. Having a real hard time cracking this hold right now on the French side.
It's a tough point to get in. It's a real tough point to get in. Yeah. Right? There's such tight choke points. It's so easy to spam. The gun and the pyro combination in the main choke point is really difficult to get past, especially Nicky's doing a really good job so far, and he's just air blasting everything that's coming anywhere near anyone from this this top choke point area. But it seems like the cargo side is where the rest of the French push is going to come in from this time, as QB's taking a heck of a lot of damage on the way, and is going to get taken down before this push can even get underway. Rougeman going to try and get some spam away, but is super weak and is forced all the way back out. And again, one player down, it's protocol. France back out of the lobby again, and this timer just keeps ticking, right? We said before about the timer's running out, it's going down. We're down to like almost the final minute. So this is almost trade territory.
It really is. I mean, that time around they did get at least one rocket onto Otto. It got him a little low, right? Maybe almost got him into forcing territory, but did surf it away. It was fine. And yeah, they're just going to try to send it in, get traded into the sentry, even air blasted away. They can't even get past the grate. It's a nightmare. Uber didn't accomplish anything. They got a sentry with it, and that's it. And now they have to push into this dry if they want to make anything happen. Obviously, Otto still has his Uber as well. The heavy up on KN. It's such a tough one to crack, but at this point, they kind of just gotta go. They got 30 seconds left. At this point, not much to lose for the Frenchies. There's no way England's gonna push out even if they wipe, so you might as well try to make something happen. They get the Uber forced out eventually. Ryan did go down before it, so there's a chance, actually.
There's going to be Uber for Mula. Mula's going to get an Uber in time. There's only 30% away, and they're actually going to try and push in on this. This might be all that matters. QB taken down by Nikki. There is going to be a really big pick cap time coming through, though, from the scouts, and they're getting cleaned up. Mula not quite getting this Uber charge in time. Would be getting it just before round time, but they had to get some time on that cap, and it's not quite going to be. Alien just going to be backing out of the lobby. The cap time is going to tick down, and we're going to go to the first round reset of this map of Sunshine. But it was a really good effort, and I really thought for a moment with Auto using that Uber charge off of Mula maybe just being in the realm of being able to build one back up for the repush, there was maybe a slim chance for France, but at the end of the day, maybe it was all calculated.
Yeah, maybe it was all planned anyway. They just wanted to try something out. If they had built like absolutely crazed madmen, maybe they would have gotten that even quicker, but Hey, look, we're going back to mid-fight. It was a null and void round, but France came out swinging and looking decently strong until they got to last. We'll see if they can recreate what they just did once more, or if they're gonna start crumbling now as Pappy bombs in deep already. Lots of damage onto the combo. Alien gets taken down, Mula's taken down as well. They find Ryan in response, and surely Pappy will have cleaned up as well, but that's already two of your most crucial targets on the mid taken care of. KN trades out for Brugman, and yeah, that's a 1 mid for England, alright.
Yeah, that's really huge coordination there from those two soldiers, but before we talk about that too much, there is a bit of counter-aggression coming in from the French side. Deagle gets piped down, there's a one behind from Ron's in onto the medic of Auto, who is going to live for now, but Gigi's going to have a task on his hands now, getting charged down. Bomb comes in, Scout comes in too, Auto taken down in the dying seconds. QB, the one to run in and get that frag, and actually, the salvage is there, the 3-on-3, despite the heal advantage, is going to go the way of France, and this, can you even consider this a 1 mid at this point? They're going to have a really big advantage off the back of this.
Yeah, even if England caps the point, they're only really buying themselves a little bit of time, maybe. There's some forward spawns, I guess, but France is going to be rearing to take this back immediately, as quickly as they can. And my god, that aggression onto Auto. But also, my god, the pipes Gigi was hitting, trying his absolute
it was a great effort, right? It was a really great effort.
He did everything he could, man. He did everything in his power that was feasibly expected of him, but it just wasn't enough against all that aggression. So now France are in the driver's seat. They are in control, trying to take some to mid. They have that Uber ready. Obviously, they want to take this without having to use. Unfortunately for them, it could get a little dicey. Pappy does slip in, does not get the force just yet, though, and they do find enough ground. They do deny these English players from any more shenanigans, and they will get mid back for free. But in the meantime, Otto's almost got his own Uber ready, so they will have to go up against on second as they use in immediately. Otto doesn't quite have yet. He has to escape through dungeon, and they have to sacrifice their demo for it as well. But now Otto does have the Uber, and he's going to be using it right across concrete here, just finding what he can. And you know what? Finding that frag onto Mula is all they really needed to keep themselves in it. Even if these French players are slipping in behind, they'll get smoked out soon enough. Tumul even trying to spawn camp a scout. I mean, you respect it. If you can get Gigi here, that would certainly be something. Does get one mate shot, does get two, but the re-sub bind is there, and that's all she wrote. He's already out of there.
Yeah, really good efforts there, but team, we're going to have to back up now, and I've got to say, really well played from Auto and Nikki there, just able to evade out, just build up those last few percents of Uber, and then come back in for the trade. But in the meantime, it's a bit of a race between these two caps, and it seems like QB and Alien getting caught out is going to mean that Deeple is going to decide to back up from that second point to mid, as midpoint flips the way the English, and
Jesus
these
Christ.
three players are in so much trouble. Big rockets in from Pappy too, and this, the all missed air shots, almost something crazy there from Runs and Brugman, but they're not going to find it, and Mula is down. Deeple still behind, and this situation is looking a little bit weird over on the French side. Deeple's still trying to defend mid, still trying to just be a menace in the backline, but there's two forward spawns coming up in a moment. Deeple's going to be so careful, and he's going to run around the corner straight into the doorway as KN is waiting, but it's bought some time. But honestly, I'm not quite sure it might have bought enough time, because this ad's still at about 80%, and England already walking their way in.
Yeah, they're trying to do something with Brugman, sending it in as best he can to maybe get a cheeky force or something like that, but it didn't happen. England takes a second for free, and we find ourselves in the mirror situation of the first round. Unfortunately for France, though, they still don't have an Uber. England does, and they're just going to use it straight in, get as much as they can off the back of it. Matter of fact, both soldiers are already taken care of, and well, they only lose Nicky on their own side. They finally lose KN as well, but so much damage by that bomb by Ryan. Basically solos Alien completely, and Pappy so much point pressure and damage as well. Slowly but surely, one after another on either side getting taken down, and somehow, someway, France comes out on top, with Otto the only one remaining, trying his best to hold off this Brugman, but he can't quite do it. He will go to the respawn queue. Mula will have an Uber, and France are back in the driver's seat for now.
Yeah, Mula living there is so crucial, right? And we saw some great moves as well, some great serves around that last point just to keep up that Uber charge, and it's such a big difference maker, because now they're pushing out with a massive advantage. Auto has only just spawned in. There's a sniper in forward spawn, there's a couple of soldiers in threatening positions, maybe thinking about bombing in, as KN is going to want to get a frag onto Brugman. Ryan going to be bombing into Pappy, getting ready also. Alien's gone down, the force comes out as well, so it's not really the success that the French side were looking for now, as the repush can come in. No demo man and a soldier down now for France, as they don't even get mid off of this.
And they're now at a disadvantage as well, so unless they get onto auto here, which, a little nice effort by Rons, but couldn't quite get the damage he wanted to, they're going to be even at a bit of a disad. It's enough for England to certainly make a push happen off of, and well, they've already got second back under control. Just France nothing confident at all with Rons down, missing, and England already taking control of lobby once more. Rearing to go, ready to go.
The ad was that big though, right? It's still only about 20 yards, right? After like...
It's not massive, but if they move fast enough, they certainly could make something happen. It's not like Mula is building at an incredible pace right now, and they're gonna use straight away. They do know that there must be a bit of a disad. Mula doesn't quite have yet, unless he starts building really quickly and everybody else stays alive. They won't have much of a chance here. Okay, no, they stay alive. They kite the Uber well enough. They'd only lose Rons for the time being. Now England has to back off a little bit. They know that that heavy's in play. They know that the Uber's probably in play as well. Now, so much damage on that entire English team. So many players low. But everybody escapes for the time being. Everybody's still alive. And they do get out of it somehow, some way.
Yeah, like I say, it was the fact that like the disad was so big for Auto when that force came through at mid. Like it means yes there is advantage, but that push has to be so clinical and really well played there from from France. I keep saying forfeits, right? Is it from France? They were able to lock their doors down and they were able to keep the Uber charge up on Mula, but they're not able to keep it up for much longer as Mula is the one forced out on the low ground, and now is it blood in the water? Now England getting themselves set back up again. Ryan going to be falling for that one, but now we said before there was a little bit of ad. This is a lot bigger of an advantage now for Auto and the rest of the England team if they decide to go on this.
Yeah, but they're also getting pressured a lot. France have maybe finally realized that they gotta start doing something. At least they're trying to be a bit aggressive, denying England some ground, slow them down ever so slightly. They do know that Uber is coming soon, and they have backed off now, but still gonna try at the very least to do something. Soldier's jumping in already. Ron's trying to do his best flashbang impression once more. Doesn't quite get anything done though. And, well, he did do a lot of damage to Auto. I'm not to discredit it, but, you know, he didn't get the kill, didn't get the force. That's what he was really hoping for. Ryan trying to do the same with the other side. Unfortunately, he's all alone trying to get into last and doesn't really do much either. Trades a little bit of damage with Rufen before having to back out. And now there's cap time on last already. And, England is here to fight. The Ubers are both ready as well, and they already take down Pappy, so maybe this is actually holdable for France, but there's so much cap time as well, they've really got to watch this point now. And they're so low, everybody, even Mula, not looking particularly healthy. It could have gone down the drain very quickly, and France are very fortunate that it didn't.
Yeah, really well held once more, but again, it's so dicey. That point cap got so far through, and so many players were just an extra little chip of damage away from going down, but neither side in that entire exchange were going to use their Uber charges, so Auto and Mula now still at 100% each as the pressure cook begins, but it's not really going to last too long because Pappy caught on the way into lobby is going to put the brakes on this one. And we were here right at the start of this game on the English side of things, and now it's the French's turn to turtle up as England now going to have to really work out this super difficult task, right? Getting into Sunshine last, not easy. No off classes as of yet, but they're getting peppered on the way into lobby once more.
It's no snake water, but it's still not as easy as you would want it to be to try and get yourself some angles to try and get onto that gun, and you got the pyro to deal with as well. You got a lot of spam around every damn door. It's certainly a grueling fight that you have to somehow win this tug of war. Maybe sneak in a soldier from lower like Ryan is trying to do right now. Gets a lot of damage onto the medic actually and manages to get Mula with
massive.
That. Unbelievable. How does he get away with that? That is insane.
It's just the blind spot of the gun, right? The gun not quite able to see all the way down into the dungeon, and the pillar there is good cover, but now the Uber charge coming in the other side, and players getting caught out around it too as GG is going to manage to get a frag of his own, but this Uber charge does not go the way that England would have wanted at all, despite the fact that Mula dropped, and despite the fact that it was looking so good with that full advantage push coming in from England. Again, they failed to make it work, and we've seen this a couple of times on Process too, but on Sunshine, they're going to have to make it work at some point, right? It's 0-0, over half the game has been played, and England have had so many good chances into this last point, and again, another advantage push goes awry, and they're back where they started again.
Yeah, at least on Process is a bit more forgiving because you have other avenues to get in as well, but Sunshine, you have so much less wiggle room trying to push into last, so messing up that push really just gonna bite them on the timer front here. They're not gonna have many more chances. This might be the last one, depending on how well it goes. Maybe they have one more after, but it's gonna be even once more. It's going to be on the Frenchies to try and hold it as best they can. And it's going to be on England to try and find if they can work that magic again. Obviously, they're not going to let Ryan get away with it as easily this time around on the French side. The Sentry's still in play as well. The Pyro's still in play. So, end of the day, not much has happened really with that hold. And Brugman almost managing to trade with KN on lower before finally getting cleaned up by Nicky instead. So that is going to be an opening frag perhaps for England here. Gives us some room to work with on the left side at the very least. But Ryan does pay with his life for it, and that probably just resets them again.
Oh, they lose KN too as well. That's definitely end of this one as everyone else hightails it back out onto the second point. You've got to think this is now, both teams have been in this situation. Gets down to this final minute and a bit left. We saw before the first team, they tried to go in for that trade. They were stuffed completely by one Pyro, and QB up on the Pyro too, so maybe is hoping to do the same.
Maybe, perhaps. This is maybe just another round reset in the ranks. Look, when people are playing to their highest degrees, it might be boring, but it is the safest strategy that they have available right now. Can you get 2 points in a minute? Or would you rather just wait that 1 minute and not worry about it and then go back to a mid-fight instead? At this point, if you're the Frenchies, that's probably what you're looking for, so we're having one more exchange in the ranks, and it's going to decide the outcome of this round, whether England will finally go up, or whether we're going back to another mid-fight, as France still doing their absolute damnedest to just hold on to this for as long as they can, and England struggling to even just find an angle to maybe spam a gun from, or really just a player from, to get any sort of damage into this last point. They finally try to power through on the far side once more. Got a bunch of players in a little bit of ground at the very least, but Ryan goes down already. Nobody on the French side falling just yet either. Cap pressure as well out of a scalp, but it's not much to write home about, and they didn't find any frags out of it either. Didn't even get the sentry down. Lots of damage out to the French players, but nothing to clean up with, and now you got 16 seconds. Pappy's trying to send a Hail Mary. They're just trying to get anything in now. They have an Uber, they might as well use it, right? That's what they're trying to do here. England, surely. At this point, Otto's just going to waltz on forward, try to right-click, get that Uber out of Mula at some point as well, but he has no reason to use for very long. Can't cap while you're Ubered.
Oh, they got a tiny bit of cap time. Otto finally jumps onto the cap, but not enough. And again, second round reset of this game, still 0-0, almost 2/3 of the game played, and neither of these teams has shown very convincing that they have a plan for getting into these last points in even situations. And even though we did see that one heroic bomb in from Dungeon from England, like that was it, right? They got their drop onto Mula, but even still, that's all well and good, but you still have to convert the Uber ad afterwards, right?
Yeah, it didn't amount to anything somehow. The most insane layup, and they just completely binned it. Nothing happened with it. Now they're back to another mid-fight, have to prove themselves once more, and well, France has had a pretty good track record with these so far, as Otto already goes down. First kill of the mid. Bronze gladly trades for that one. Pappy trying to nuke down the enemy combo, but that won't happen either. Matter of fact, they've just kind of cleaned up everybody. It's only GG and Nicky left, trying to hide, trying to be a little cheeky, but the ladder gets found, and well, GG's on his way out already as well. Matter of fact, Brugman is actually trying to catch up to him as best he can. God damn.
This literally could be the best chance of the game yet, right?
Yeah.
Mula has 100% Uber. Otto still only just spawning in. The gun's still getting built. The setup is not there for the defending English side. And now France, this is a really golden opportunity. We've seen how few and far between these pushes into last have been so far. This is maybe the best chance yet in France. They're going to have to show what it's worth. They're going to try their very best to make this one work. As the bomb comes in from the choke side, they get the gun down already. Sticks over towards that right spawn shutter as the rotation comes along. All the England team locked in the spawn direct. Except this one soldier, Pappy, who's just jumping around, distracting eyes, trying to buy as much time as possible. He's doing a great job of it. Ryan goes down eventually, but there's only one frag gone. That's it. That's all that the French Uber is able to get, and one frag is nowhere near enough. Otto nearly has an Uber of his own. There's still a heavy there. There's still stickies on the point. The counter regression is coming in. Demule in onto Otto and gets the kill onto Otto. Gets more too in onto Gigi, and the point cap comes through finally. And it's not because of the Uber. It's because of a hero play from Demule. 99% on Otto when that frag comes through. That is crazy stuff from France, and maybe that's the heroics they need to get around on the board.
SM work is all it took. Apparently, he had to just lock in for a second. Precision target on home in onto Otto like that. It's all 99%. It took. It's couldn't be more perfect. Well, it could have been a +2, I guess, if he wanted the extra points, but that's what it takes. France in the lead for the first time in this series. Now they just have to hold on to it for another, well, just under 9 minutes. So we'll see if they can do that, or if England come back responding immediately. For the time being, it's looking like France is winning yet another mid-fight. They've got a couple of crucial frags already under Gigi and Happy, and even if they don't have the positioning just yet to really posture much more for the time being, they're also cutting off a lot of ground from England and just delay them retreating for a while. Nobody else has to die, nobody else has to pay with their lives. Fair enough, both medics live, but crucially, France is up around and they can afford to play at their own pace now.
Yeah, it was a sound and respectable decision there. They'd won the mid, they got the frag, they just had to hold their ground, didn't need to overchase, didn't need to go for anything silly or anything too audacious, because they, yeah, like you say, they're a round up and they're holding the middle point. They're in their opponent's half of the map, and that means now it's all the harder, right? If England want to make something work, there's potentially time for a round reset if it happens quickly, but at the end of the day, England are going to start wanting to push out of these situations, and when you hold the middle point, it's always a massive, massive advantage when the other team is having to push into you.
If you have to force the other team here. You can force England to make some errors, and you have to force them to make something happen. If you're France, you're loving this right now. You're absolutely in control of anything that happens here. As long as you don't misstep too much either, you are certainly going to be looking at a third map after this, potentially at least. So it's on them to just deny anything that England tries to throw at them, especially if they just manage to clock down more time. There is still potential, as you said, for another round reset, but realistically, if you're England, after that, you've got like 3 more minutes to try and convert around. The pressure is going to be so insane. Do you really want to go for that at that point?
England's mids on Sunshine have not been convincing, right? France has had the better of the mids pretty much every time, and they're seeming to... Oh, I thought Rons was going to have the better of that fight over on the flank too, but this might be exactly what England need. One frag comes through on the flank, Rons goes for a play and does not manage to get anything for it. Temporary one-player advantage as England start working their way forward. Ryan is going to bump behind towards enemy cafe. This is now the player behind, going to be able to draw some eyes, draw some distraction, but the spawner is there. Demo going to be in 2 and Ryan is taken down. In the meantime, the push in the red cafe is thwarted and everyone has to run back. And it's the French now the player up, and we'll see how they decide to go. How aggressive are they willing to go a round up but with a player advantage? Are they going to try and bust it? It seems that Brugman fancies the chances against Ryan, who is forced out very, very far, but Alien getting caught in the choke actually might stem it completely.
That is probably the crucial, the second best pick you could get here, apart from obviously killing Mula, and that is going to give England so much room to work. As a matter of fact, they managed to get it's more of a forced exchange, I suppose. Mula taking it forward with QB instead, opting to go for to exchange Ubers here, trade, see what happens. Now, obviously, the post-Uber fight is going to be the more interesting part for both teams here, and Ron's already in behind. It does get cleaned up. Brugman not looking very healthy either for a minute there, as Pappy bombs in. Does get the knight out of the air, though. Anti-air is in play, and it looks like England, even if they're going to put on some pressure now, won't be able to maintain it for too long. They're just not healthy enough. They're not connected enough. They have to get this mid-cap and then probably... well, dip sooner rather than later, with French players respawning sooner, coming in sooner to try and take this back immediately. And that's exactly what happens.
Yeah, at the end of the day, that's not a success really at all, right, for England. They did temporarily hold that middle point, but they never really had it on lock, and Ryan behind was always going to be dead eventually. So, at the end of the day, they were basically a player down throughout that, and yeah, France now, we're back in the same situation before, but now there is no time for a round reset. There is 5 minutes left. England have to get out of this situation. They have to be the ones pressing forward. They have to be the ones going for plays, and at the moment, they're just still building up these final few percents of their own Uber. They're trying to get some spam in towards choke, maybe go for something on the flank, as Kayan is actually just going to try and run down onto Rons, as Ryan there is 2 as well, so maybe this is the opening that they're going to look for. Try and get something into this valley side, but it's going to have to be coordinated with something from choke, and maybe Pappy's going to be the one to do that.
Yeah, it's surprising as well. France almost seemed a bit caught off guard by that sudden aggression out of the valley, but it didn't quite catch them enough. Even Mula out of position didn't eat any unnecessary spam or anything, so France just holding on to that one, hanging on to it, and again, they're more than willing to not even risk much at all. Unless, I cannot see them pushing here unless they wipe like half the enemy team. If they get 3 kills onto England, that's probably the only time they're going to be starting to push here, because why take the risk at this point when you are so close to making it a third map? Sure, okay, you've just traded 2 soldiers on the flank, who cares? You just lost Brugman, okay, that's starting to look a bit dire. You're trying to keep holding on to mid, and this is what England needs.
Weak.
surely he gets killed here as well. Okay, he does get cleaned up. So this is the momentum England needs, and this is what France do not want at all. Matter of fact, they have to use as well. Mula just gets caught by so much damage, and they're not going to be able to do much with this Uber at all to try and counter it whatsoever. Nothing. No pressure onto Auto. England is back in control. They just have to convert it within the next 3.5 minutes.
This is game on. This is absolutely game on. Demo only just spawning up, so only 5 French players on this second point for now. Massive advantage in the red for the England team, as Otto is going to be walking in with the team. Brugeman caught on the escape too, so 1 less soldier for this last defense. But remember, we've been here before. England have messed up these situations in the past with these Uber ads into last. This time in through dungeon, on with Gigi, on with the scout too. Nicky can't cap the point yet because there's still the second cap yet to come through. No point pressure can be there. Ron's bombing in. He's going to blast away his last couple of players. Ryan down in trade for Brugeman in the midst of all of this. But it seems so far like France is maybe holding on unless Demo the heavy. He's taken down super late. What a scrap it is with this point. KN in behind is going to try and go for it. Pappy trying to blast people off the point, but it seems so far that France are going to hang on by the skin of their teeth. That cap so close to going through, and I've got to say, if second point was capped up a mere second earlier and Nicky got that original cap time in the Uber, maybe that point flips into the red.
Yeah, that's so close. 1 extra half second on that point was all it would have taken, and France just, again, another miracle holding on to it. They have an Uber now as well. They're bunkering up once more. 2 more minutes is all that separates them from going to Granary, from having another shot at trying to take it. And they're actually just going to use the Uber very aggressively, check into lobby. Perhaps a mistake as somebody does slip into last. Unfortunately for him, though, Pappy is not going to be able to cap that one off, and it's enough to just kill the entire combo because Auto Gigi did go down, so France has just bought themselves an easy extra 90 seconds at the very least, which puts them in a pretty nice situation to try and keep holding on to this. They're still not opting to push out. Very smart. I respect it. They've learned from their mistakes, at least in the right times when it does matter, and as long as they bunker up here, they might very well have this on lock.
Yeah, absolutely. It's all down to what happens with this last build-up, but importantly, as you say, Mula is going to have a slight bit of advantage. Nicky caught in super aggressive too. It seems like at this point it's completely a Hail Mary territory. There's still a little bit late cap time on this as players both sides trying to vie for pressure over this point. Runs though, the one jumping in doing such massive damage towards this combo before being taken down actually. So temporary player advantage up for the England side, who are still relentless, still trying to burst their way in, trying to play onto the point, but the gun just watches it so well. As long as that gun lives, getting on this point is an utter nightmare, and they're just going to have to back out again. KN, the one to fall, but it's now going to be even Ubers. The captain dwindles down, but into the final minute of sunshine, Uber charge is ready for both these teams. This is going to be one trade, and this is going to be ferocious.
And if England choose the wrong side, if they can't deal with this Pyro or this Sentry immediately, they are going to be so badly off once that Uber does fade. And the longer they wait here, the less time they have. There is no overtime for the round timer endings, or so much rather the map timer ending. So they have 30 seconds now to make this round happen, and the pressure is on. They can't get any ground up top at all. The Pyro is just doing so much work for them. QB denying so much ground. He finally gets taken care of. So does the Sentry. A little bit of ground now for England to be taken here, but they're already burnt half their remaining time. 15 seconds left, and nobody's even put any cap time on whatsoever. Crits out of the Mule as well with those revenge crits. Finally, Mula has to use his Uber just to deny the remaining players as Gigi gets juggled into the skybox here. Same does his medic, and nobody can get to the point in time. It is not a high score line, but France stay in it with 1-0 anyway, taking it to a third map.
That was madness. You've got to applaud the battle there and the fight from England in those final couple of minutes. It's so hard, but I've got to say they had 2 golden opportunities in England there, with Uber ads into last, and neither time it went their way. And especially that last one, there's like 3 minutes on the clock. They must have known it was now or never for that push. And the fact that it goes awry and it doesn't work out must be absolutely gutting for them. But the one saving grace for them is there is still a third map, right? They did win the first one pretty convincingly. They're over towards Granary, which is a map that earlier today they did have a really strong performance against the Germans on. But in maps like this, these close affairs, these like 1-0 games, like it comes down to a game of moments, right? A game of big players, and really it was one big mid fight from France. They got them that mid to last, and on the other side of things, England just weren't clinical enough with their last pushes.
Yeah, they just couldn't quite round it out, and end of the day, that's what it takes. Again, once more, the logs paint a picture of a rather even match, don't they?
A
It's
slow match as well.
a slow one and a very grueling even match where, oh well, teams have maybe players that stand out in a statistic or two, and just going crazy with killing people, cleaning up damage, but end of the day, it didn't seem to matter because it's not like England won a round off of it. So
No, absolutely not. And yeah, I think honestly, if you look at these stats, I think the big important one is the fact that there was 3 mid fights to 1 in favour of France. And again, one of those mid
yeah,
fights led instantly to a round for the French side. Just less than 2 minutes, the round that the French won, it was just straight mid to last. And that's what you need sometimes, right? And if you've got the better mid fights, you are going to be in advantageous situations so often on any map. And yeah, that's maybe all it takes. And yeah, going to be over towards map number 3. So that's to look forward to. And we've been dragging this one out a little bit. It's been obviously a bit of a late starter with the battle in from the French in that previous one, but could be this is the 6th map, right? That France are going to be playing today.
yeah.
And I don't know. Do you think there's like playing them at all? Like, would you be worn out after 5 maps back to back of TF2?
Yeah, of course not. If I was, look, I don't know how you can be a professional TF2 player like this and not win. Like, just win. It's
Literally,
just,
yeah.
just, just kill the enemies and win. It's so easy. I don't understand what the problem is. Jokes aside, obviously they're gonna be feeling it. I mean, England, it's their 5th map. They had a smooth sailing match more so against the Germans, but they've still been playing for the last, four,
Uh, they had like
four-ish
an
hours probably.
they won against the Germans quick enough that I think they got like an hour break in between
Hmm,
because their maps were like a little bit
okay.
faster. But like France has literally been like, yeah, we're going into the start of hour number 4 for back to back play.
Look, maybe that's where you start activating. Maybe that's when you start getting into the zone, right? Everybody's got their different their different moments when that really activates for you. So maybe that's what it takes. I don't know. It seems interesting because England, even for most, even or like for a lot of that Sunshine map, seemed to have some control of the map, right? They had a lot of attempts trying to get into last, etc., etc., but they always seem to lack at some point with the execution, right? Ryan goes in, gets an insane bomb, and drops Mula somehow. Just manages to slip right past the sentry, and nothing comes from it. England just failed to get anything done off the back of it. Full Uber push against a team that is obviously scrambling, trying to hold, and they still can't close it out. Maybe it's just a Sunshine problem. Maybe Granary is going to be completely different, right? They were looking dominant against the Germans again, but so was France against Sweden, kind of not as much, but still on process, and then they lost, right? So it's always a curious question going with historic data because things change so much from match to match. Even if you know that one team dominated on a map against a different team, yeah, that doesn't necessarily mean anything, right?
No, absolutely not. And yeah, Granary, of course, it's one for all those boomers in the TFC. But obviously, again, very like you say, these teams they're all Premiership tier players, and some of them some of the best Premiership tier players. So they're all, of course, confident in everything. And yeah, like you say, the map's just it's the map that we're going to play, right? There's sort of our pick, their pick. But I guess the big testament to that is that teams did trade their maps. France winning the English pick and England winning the French pick. But now it's nobody's pick. It's the decider map. And we are going on to what is technically neutral territory. So I'll throw the awkward question. Off the back of what we've seen Process and we've seen Sunshine, who do you think is going to lift the trophy, the virtual trophy, maybe the virtual medals if they're ever added for the Nations Cup number 10?
See, that's so tough because in terms of favoring the team that has the track record of being the winners of Nations Cups for the past 3 in a row. And in terms of what we've seen when they do play well, it should be England. But it does, like, France are the team that seems to work well under this pressure. They still put up a decent fight on process. And if a few mid fights go their way on Granary, they find a little bit of momentum, maybe at the start, maybe in the last 10 minutes, it doesn't matter. If they find momentum at some point, I can actually see them running away with even a couple of rounds, right? It's so tough to call because I think I don't quite have it in my mind how the last few Nations Cups went when these teams met in the finals, but I'm pretty sure they were also usually kind of close. It's like something about these teams, they're just destined to fight each other and have insanely close national matchups.
Yeah, well, I'll say yeah. This has been pretty damn close, right? I think both these teams. I know I was before this day, right, I was thinking, oh, okay, these two days, because you'd be sort of kind of, I say knew loosely it was going to be England against France. Obviously, Sweden had put their foot in the way on that one and had something to say about it, but didn't quite hold out. But at the end of the day, like, these two teams, they've shone up, right? They are a level above everyone else in this tournament. And yeah, of course, barring the Sweden game, like, France have had smooth sailing the whole tournament, England have had smooth sailing the whole tournament, and it's so tough to call when teams like sort of haven't been tested too much with these national teams, and I don't know. I think off the back of that, we're just going to go with the data we've got from this game, and I'm still thinking there's something here for England, right? After the process game, I think it went so well. They did have chances, and just a couple of things not going their way on that Sunshine game. A couple of those ad pushes, like you say, the drop onto Muller, and the subsequent failed push, and even the subsequent failed push in, like, what was that, like the last 3 minutes? So I'm going to say England just shade it, but happy to be proven wrong as long as we have an exciting game, because this series so far has been pretty much nothing but tens back and forth.
Yeah, it's been impossible to call. If for some reason there's any way you could bet on this match, if you were doing sports betting, I'm sure the returns would be impossible to calculate. It's a 50-50. People would not know what you do. I mean, maybe that's the truest form of gambling there is. If you're looking for anything, unfortunately, I am not the one to decide that, and neither are going to be the players, because I am sure they wouldn't want to bet on their own match and then throw as they're getting started instead. There's no way they placed the bet, basically what I'm saying, with how quickly they're getting started on this third map, and we're going to be taking it away to our first mid-fight on Granary. Looks like both demos making it there at around the same time. Gigi just a little bit faster, denying the pack from Alien, but he can wait for his team instead. Play the middle a little bit differently. Sure, you're being denied a bit of ground on the right side, but you can just rotate around instead. And see how that goes. Run slips in behind already, gets the first frag onto Otto instantaneously. As soon as he makes contact, annihilated, obliterated Gigi down as well. Alien picked up on the other side, to be fair. Lots of damage to Mula, but if they can keep this medic alive, it's already looking great for France, and they're doing just that as we speak. They lose a couple players for it, namely Brugman as well going down, but they got it in the end. They win the mid, and they're going to be able to keep rolling forward as well.
Yeah, Ron's there. Great bomb. Just slipping the net all the way through that right-hand side. Just gets in, not a single player looking at Ron's when that bomb comes in, and is able to land the freest 2 rockets of his entire life over on to the English medic of Auto. And now, this is how they got their round in Sunshine, right? It was off a quick mid-win, quick roll straight through into last. And of course, Granary is a bit of a bigger map. It's a bit harder to do that in, and there is potential for some setup over towards the second point, particularly because players would drag back onto the French's own yard to try and defend their own medic, as Mulu was under a little bit of pressure. But now the push can come in, pressure coming through this low lobby area, and actually up through the top. Lunchbox, Ryan taken down, the bomb comes in already from Brugman. KN getting juggled into the spawn is just going to be able to resupply in time to get healthy and get back into this. The second point still not capped up yet. This is such an awkward situation now for France. They're 5 players up in enemy last, and they're trying to jump across, trying to deny as much space as possible, trying to get the damage in, and they do get the Uber charge out. But how many of these players are going to survive? It doesn't seem like many of them. QB, Mula, Alien all going down. Ron's going to fall too, and now just the 2 players survive. Just the 2 flank players over on France are going to try and do what they can. Demul going to go for some sort of play to last. I'm not quite sure this is going to work, but what a hold. And again, it's the time, right? It just takes so long to get end to end. That second point just wasn't capped up in time, as we saw with that previous England push in Sunshine. But it comes back to bite, because Auto still a slight advantage, sniper to deal with, and the push comes in.
That was a very curious. Sniper! Oh my god! Okay, well, that completely turns it on its head. I was gonna say that's a very curious early Uber by the French trying to take ground on last there, but putting themselves at a disadvantage now. Doesn't matter, because at the end of the day, Otto just gets sniped down anyway, and there you go. That takes France right back into the driver's seat. Even if they lose mid for the time being, even if they back off a little bit, they are going to be moving forward at prodigious pace as quickly as they'd like. Obviously, they got to deal with a scout behind. They do have to deal with this unfortunate nature of KN being a bit of a mosquito behind. But hey, you know,
he's still alive.
Yeah, obviously on 2 health, my man.
No
should not
way.
be allowed to get away with this. Okay, he does not, thankfully, but he buys a lot of time. At least slows down France ever so slightly. You know, gives his team a bit of a chance to set up on mid, but they won't be able to do much. They have to either get some sort of early force here, or just, yeah, back off, because at this point it's not looking very nice. Matter of fact, Ross has already slipped in behind again. How does he do it? He's actually just playing spy. Manages to get the kill onto Otto. he just keeps getting away with Granaries' playground.
Yeah, this is even better than it was previously, because now we've been alien, no KN. No, the sneak comes in, the play onto the medic, the force comes out, KN just ratting there behind the hosepipe, just hiding out, and that really might just save the round now for England. The force coming in so soon, all the way back in yard. KN there, saving the team, saving England's hopes at hanging into this first round. They're still going to be on their own last, and it's still only going to be even Ubers because Auto's taken so long to spawn in. There's still work to do as well with these spawners still a little while away, but this could have been so much worse. France with no Uber to work with are still going to try and bully their way in onto the point. Demul and Bruggeman doing what they can, bombing over toward the left hand side, but there's a Demo Man, there's a Heavy, there's soldiers, and the rest of the core is here. But Auto getting caught out though, I guess. That's mission success.
I watched that on my POV. Bruges just jumps in. He just jumps across last and 2 rockets Auto across the little fence. And he's just they just have Auto's number right now. It's incredible. Both Rons and Bruges are on his ass 24/7, getting him taken down every single time, and now they have a nice little full Uber to work with to try and take it into last with once more. This time it's looking a bit better because at least they have second capped and they have some better position to take immediately. They take up Happy immediately as well. The sniper, not much of a problem, dealt with as well for the most part, and actually just finding as many frags as they possibly can to get people away from the point. There you go. 1-0 for the side of France. They're running away with it a little bit.
Yeah, like really strong first segment of this game, 5 minutes in, and it has been all France so far, and all off the back of a fantastic mid-fight. So we're going to see what England have got to answer for that, because that was the big strength threat coming out of Sunshine, was these mids, and yeah, it was second time lucky on those Uber ad pushes into last, but they make it work eventually to France, and they're earning one valuable round. And if anything goes by the previous rounds of this series, like, the rounds are valuable, right? It's not been particularly high scoring, so we'll see now if England can hang in a bit longer on this one. There's bombs coming in, Ron's landing up on top of the crate this time, but the French team, look at the ground that they've taken across this point. They have lost a player for it, but there's big damage towards the England combo, and the space is still there. Ron's bombing in as well. He's going to be taken down in a little bit of a trade. Alien, ooh, I thought that air shot might be landing. That would have been pretty huge if it did. As the scram continues in this low ground with KN, Ryan, Nikki, Auto, all trying to hang on, but still a player down. There's Nikki,
okay.
Living.
Oh my god, he wins those, and he also gets the force out of Mula, basically. And yeah, and I mean, they could have gotten onto Auto. He doesn't have an Uber yet, but they just didn't get there. They didn't get there. They couldn't get onto Auto. Now England has that full Uber to work with as well, and oh, it looks like they have a chance to come right back at him. They have a chance to come right back at France here and make their way forward as best they can. Obviously, Mula is going to be trying to build like an absolute madman, get that Uber going as well for the French side, try to hold on to whatever they can, because England's going to be steaming forward. They know they have no choice but to put a round on the board as quickly as possible if they have such a beautiful opportunity to, and that's what they're doing. They're taking second already. It's almost capped up. They haven't even entered last for the most part yet. There's the Uber. No sniper can happen either. And there's the sentry taken care of immediately as well. Mula is close to his own Uber though. If he can hang on to anybody to heal for a little bit longer, they can get that point to not be pressured too much. There's so much cap time already though for England. They have to just stand on the point inside of France, and they are finding the crucial frags to keep people away from it, but they also can't really push out as much as they would like to. They lost too many players. There's too much time on the point. They can't afford to. They have to stay on last.
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, the ad is not particularly worth writing home about, but yeah, again, just staying alive just about long enough to get that Uber charge back up from Mula. But I love the vision there from the England team. They see nobody in second, they think, right, why not? We're going to try and use this tiny ad into last, and they do it in such a way that Auto gets out alive, Gigi gets out alive too. It means now they can get into this sort of settle down situation. Again, still 20-ish ad if they want to go for something crazy, but seems, are they going for it? They're going to go in again.
All right, they're going to try the same thing again. Let's see how it goes this time around. They find the sentry again immediately as well. Unfortunately for them, the Ubers are much closer this time. Mula's going to have his own to respond with immediately as soon as the English Uber fades, and Gigi is going to be the first to fall. Probably also the only one, considering France isn't opting to chase this any further than they have to, but denying that Demo Man from doing anything on second. Actually, they did find Nikki as well towards the tail end of that, I suppose, so they're giving themselves a nice opportunity to maybe get in second here. Unfortunately, they're also feeding the soldiers for dinner.
Oh, Auto's in trouble.
Happy's eaten. Oh no, wait a minute. Yeah, Demul just slips through, huh? And there's a soldier to back him up as well. They do find Auto, and that's all they could have possibly wanted.
Yeah, a bit of an overstay there in lobby from the England side as, yeah, they have those soldiers doing such great damage onto that right shutter, but at the end of the day, like, you can't lose both your soldiers there and Demo too at the end of it. Like, it's not going their way whatsoever. But again, Muller, as we've seen so many times this game, has just stayed alive in all these scenarios. He's still going to have another Ubercharge advantage to work with. And with spawners coming through now, there's plenty of players on mid for England to try and delay this, try and bomb in, and with these tiny chokes to get through on the low ground on Granary mid, it can be hard to get in without getting forced. So we'll see what these soldiers, what these scouts can do on the England side. And yes, the force comes in early. The Ubercharge used across from France. Nicky the only one to fall, as everyone on the England side is backed out, apart from that one scout.
Yeah, it's probably a decent trade. A scout for an Uber, giving yourself a nice 50% ad on your own side to be able to get into mid with again if you so desire. Certainly something that's nice. Unfortunately, for England, though, they also have to worry about this soldier duo on Rons and Brugman, who have been wreaking havoc on their back line lately, so they gotta be careful. If they try to take us into mid, they can't be too sure just yet about what they should do. Rons getting the knight and Brugman taken down as well, though, does make their lives a little bit easier, which means that they will be able to take mid back from under France's noses for the time being. They do lose Hiji, though. Oh my god, nice little sticky trap by Alien. Is gonna seal that one. No demo to deal with, and now all of a sudden France has their own Uber to come back into mid with, and they use it immediately. So it's going to be an exchange instead, and it looks like it may very well end up favoring France, considering they have so many more players, so much more presence, so much more domain expanded upon this point, and that's what they're doing. They're just pressuring back these these English players immediately, as Rons was already behind, gets cleaned up though, and yeah, they've just pressured England back so much. Anybody who even dares to extend into mid gets cleaned up immediately. They're all dropping like flies. Sure, they're losing a couple players on the French side as well, but they're crucially keeping the ones that are doing the killing alive. And, Otto's in trouble again. He might actually get caught here as well. GG's trying to do his best. He does deny the mole from going any further, and they do manage to escape for the time being.
That's a really, really important pipe there, but is it going to be important enough though? It depends. Can the England side hold on to the second point? There's -3 on the cap for a moment there. There's a lot of cap time come through, but in the end, it seems like England will be able to hang in on this one, unless Rons has maybe got something to say about it. No, it is traded out also. There's 2 soldiers down now for France, as they're going to have to back out all the way onto mid, and with a player advantage, still a little bit of late cap time on mid too. England might be looking to at least have a look towards pressuring, but it seems like not. It seems like they're respecting the spawners, just going to chill it out for now, wait for Pappy to come back in and, you know, just try and slow this game down, because, to be honest, despite the fact there's been 1 round in like 12 minutes, this game has kind of been anything but slow in terms of the back and forth.
Yeah, considering what we've seen on the past 2 maps, this is the fastest map we've seen so far, and France certainly poised, looking dominant right now to maybe make it another if they can keep up this work, if they can find ways again, if they just continue having Otto's number like they have for the time being. Unfortunately for Rons, this time around that's not going to happen. He's going to jump straight into a sticky trap and get destroyed in garage. Back to the respawn queue you go. Nice try. Better luck next time, I suppose, as England takes that as an opportunity to maybe be a bit more aggressive themselves, you know, spam some damage through, see if they can maybe send somebody in, get a little bit of ground. You can sneak around quite a bit on this midpoint, surprisingly. Those crates, they block quite a few sight lines, so perhaps you have a chance to just project a little bit of presence on this midpoint, and unfortunately for them, they lose Pappy for it, so that immediately stuns anything they could have done.
Yep, that signals them to leave, and Demul has actually made a fair bit of ground into Garrick. Might be getting caught on the escape. Nope, is able to clear out those stickies, locking in the back door, and is able to regroup with the team temporarily, but decides, you know what, I'm just going to go straight back in, and is juggled around by GG there, going to go down, and these constant like 1-player picks, like pushing into mid of 1 player, like we saw before, what can happen, right, is you get a little bit of space out the door, and when that spawner comes in, you're often in the worst position. Yeah, you have to back off eventually after losing a player. This time it's going to be KN, the one running in, very aggressive over towards Muller. It's going to do a decent amount of damage, but that's all it is. He just damaged, no frags just yet, as Ryan taken down 2, so 2 players down for England, and this could spell a bit of trouble for them as they try and back out of this one. Pappy doing what he can to defend, but big pipe coming in from Alien, as England, they're having to hide here, they're having to run all the way back out, and the spawners are still a few more seconds away. They could be in trouble.
Come on, England. It's your chance not to lose another round, and they're bleeding. They're bleeding a little bit. They're still hanging on to that Uber, though. They still have a nice chance to at least try and hold this last whiff, but France have smelt that blood. They are tasting it in the waters. They want to make use of this as best they can. Immediately, Bruchman sends it in deep. There's a lot of damage, but doesn't complete much with that bomb at the end. And oh, it looks like that's going to slow down that French push immediately, as Ron's doesn't really get much done up top either. Gets denied by Ryan with a nice little rocket. So for the time being, they're hanging on to it. They've stunted this French aggression, slowed them down a little bit, take a bit of a breather. Kayan can build up his sentry gun and, get some stuff set up. They will have a bit of a defense to mount here, as Demul picks up the rifle once more to counter-snipe Nikki, who's doing it on the defensive side.
Yeah, it can be a tough one to make it work on the aggressive sniper into Granary last, but it's worth a go, and he will very capable on the sniper class. He's going to be hoping to try his luck on this one, see where this peak decides to go in from. But again, like, there's not really too much of a rush over on the French side. Going to be trying to peek in from up above. Sees a couple of eyes over towards that pipe, and actually hits just one nice little body shot there over onto Pappy for readjusting. The thing is with these shutters, right? There's stickies everywhere. You don't know what's on either side. It can be so hard to make anything work, but still going to give it a go. And actually, 150 damage there over onto Nikki, who is going to be discouraged from coming back immediately.
Yeah, winning the duels for now. Not quite getting the kills, but at least winning duels.
Jimo's in so far.
He's in so deep as well. Come on, he wants that shot so bad. He doesn't win it.
I thought that was the medic for a moment.
Nikki hits that one. Nikki also almost had a shot onto Mula that one time, but when the shutter was open, that was also scary for the French side. And meanwhile, Bruchman is kind of just allowed to walk in up top, and he's going to walk onto Otto and do a little bit of damage before getting denied by the sentry. Actually, he didn't do any damage. I was lying. It turns out none of those rockets connected, but he tried his best. They probably forgot about the sentry, maybe. A little bit of an unfortunate situation to be in. Oh, well, we won't dwell on it too much. You got to worry about Nikki forward sniping here, because that's a nasty angle to have to deal with, and you don't want to be too eager here if you are on the French team. You don't want to get caught out by that. And actually, they've opted to put QB on the spy now. They have given up second for the time being. It's a tough one to get through at the end of the day, but they're right back in it anyway with the aggression, and QB is on the spy, ready to go at a moment's notice. See, spy plays haven't worked out well in this matchup so far, but they worked decently against Sweden earlier, so depending on how ready England is for the situation, depending on how well QB can get himself into position without bumping anybody accidentally, you might see a knife landing in a spine soon.
Yeah, well, QB has managed to get around to the same side as Otto, and he's just waiting there, biding the time, just trying to stay out of the way on these barrels. It's all eyes on QB so far. As the spam wall comes in, the decloak comes in, but Otto's so aware of it, is going to run back. And QB, the game is up, spotted, alarm bells are sounded, and England are able to clean up that sneaky QB class.
For the time being, surely they won't expect it twice in a row, right?
Oh, we're not going there, are we? We're not going there. Surely not.
Surely not. Surely he wouldn't. He's probably going back to scale. Yeah, no, he did. But it would have been funny to try, at the very least. Turns out,
classic.
Not gonna happen. Not gonna happen. They wouldn't expect it 3 times in a row.
There's actually no way
that's all I'm saying.
Time, right? Like,
yeah, no, nobody would expect it. It's impossible. Nobody expects it to be that insane. Anyway, they're not doing it. We're just hypothesizing. France is perfectly content with taking their time here, because at the end of the day, they are up a round. If it's going to be another 1-0 that they park the bus on a little bit, look, is it a bit boring? Yes. Does it win you the Nations Cup trophy and end the curse of having to lose to England 3 times in a row? Also, yes. So they're probably very keen to just keep up the pace that they're doing right now.
Yeah, that's the thing, is you're going for a play like a spy play, right? Losing 1 scout in this sort of stalemate, like, really not that awful, right? At the end of the day, we saw there, England, they had a bit of a look into his lunchbox and pushing out, but like this, it's so hard to get through those choke points and get out into yard that, like, losing 1 player really just, it's no risk. So if they really want, they can start sending anything like that again, but there's no need, like you say, there's option to just sort of try and bully your way in through the shutter, through the chokes, and that seems like the play so far, as they're just beaming up everyone, soldiers both playing around this point over on the French side, and it's really claustrophobic, right? There's all these spam angles, there's all these like tiny little corners you can get splashed around, so it's tough, it takes a lot of beam to do so, and they're just going to reset for a moment, because, yeah, like you say, there's no rush. There's still 12 minutes left in this game. France still 1 round up after that early one that they found, and England, again, not being able to convert the chances they've had, but it seems like France now, they're getting hungry. They're over to the lunchbox.
They've decided to switch up the strategy a little bit of a snack perhaps to have in the middle of the match. It's a long evening for them, so I don't blame them. But they still have to find their way actually in this. England's trying to lock this down as best they can. They know that if they take another round down here now, it's probably do or die time afterwards. I mean, even if they lose now, 10 minutes to take 2 rounds, certainly possible. We've seen it done many times before, but it becomes so much harder, right? So if they want to avoid losing even harder, they gotta start not losing this point. And they're already losing some grounds. Papi goes down, so they're not doing that hot on it already. Alien is pressured back out though, so perhaps it's a saving grace for England for now. They don't have to worry about the demo spam for the time being. But this is also certainly not looking good for England. They lose KN as well.
Ryan's on Moolah. Ryan's on Moolah, gets the force out in the lunchbox.
How did that happen? How did he just...
He literally waddled, he just walked behind everyone. Moolah was just disconnected from the rest of the combo and just able to walk in. No jumps needed or anything, and just gets 3 rockets away. And yeah, Moolah held on for a while, but like, you can't hold on forever with a soldier in your face, so... yeah, that's it. Big Force comes through, and this could be England's way back in this game, right? There's a minute left on this round timer, but the yard is being taken up finally by the England side as Papi starts jumping forward. Bruisman might be getting caught on the escape and is getting caught out too. So now England, we've said for so long this game, they've been the ones pinned back on their own second, on their own last, under the cosh, as you would say, and now is maybe their chance to start getting the ball rolling somewhat, but they're going to be fairly quick, right? Moolah is on at 70% as what's coming in is just going to delay more and more time, right? Midpoint might flip, but these Uber charges are going to be equalizing, and gotta say, it could have been worse with that bomb coming in. Auto was taken so weak.
Bronze again just has his number. Just lucky for England that time around that enough people turned around to damage him, but Auto again goes so low, has to force. These soldiers are just on his ass 24/7. He does not get any freedom to do what he wants. Unfortunately, France had to use their Uber as well to just try and keep themselves alive, keep themselves in this. And Alien actually gets caught by being a little bit too overextended, so England are still in this. They're still keeping this rolling forward anyway. That Uber force counter out of Moolah, I suppose, keeping them in this, because without that, they certainly wouldn't have been able to do this and take the second and potentially even keep rolling forward, considering Ronz and Alien is still both respawning. Unfortunately, they're missing Nikki and Ryan as well, but you know, they certainly have a chance to finally push into the last ones.
That play from Nikki was really intelligent. So when that trade came out, Nikki ran all the way through the left side of the yard, got in behind, started a back cap on the second point, and that dragged so many players from the French combo back. Both the scouts were literally fighting Nikki on their own last point. They just conceded so much ground that it meant that second point was capped up, and now they're going to take even more ground. KN all the way in is going to take down Alien due to the splash from the own pipes on that French demo man, but there's no bigger reward for it. The medic still safe and sound. Cap point, yeah, there's not any of that left over, but at the end of the day, 8 minutes left, right? Players like this, they can be dangerous, and for the French side, this is a warning that the English team, they are willing to dive in, and they're now diving in with 2 of their soldiers. Big double bomb over towards this spawn door, but Moolah able to get in behind that shutter, safe and sound. The 2 soldiers we've seen, particularly on Process, the damage that they can do, but this time it's just not there.
Yeah, they just don't get quite enough room that they would like to have. They keep getting denied and keep just not quite getting away with it. You also now have, well, QB just checking for off classes for the time being, but yeah, maybe he wants to commit to that spy play at some point. It would have been an interesting chaos thing to do when both of those soldiers went down, for certainly. I mean, seize the chaos, right? See what you can do, but I think it's just gonna keep checking if there's anything nefarious going on the other side, which there isn't. For the time being, England sticking with the cookie cutter, seeing if they can crack this wide open again. It's not a lot of time, but 7 minutes is certainly comfortable enough to get a round in, at the very least. So we'll see if they do it. Cubase pick up the rifle instead as bombs come in across the point and they nuke down. They get the drop onto Moolah as well. Holy crap. That was like 3 people landing on top of the combo.
That was absolutely massive. The pipe from Gigi, the rockets from Ryan and KN also just charging in too. There's no way you're holding on to that one, Moolah. The 2 choices there were to drop or to force, and the Uber stripped away. And we've been in similar positions before with Uber adds into last in this series, but this might be the most important one of all. 7 minutes to play. There is still some time left, but this has been by far the best opportunity that England have had in this entire map of Granary, and they're going to use the Uber charge in now through this left-hand side, see whether they can get this gun, which is actually in a pretty awkward position. Just take quite a while to go down as It seems fairly coordinated, this push in. It seems like Sticky's still on the point too. There's players just getting cleaned up. Ron's tried to bomb in there to block us now. The counter-aggression coming in. Moolah still a year away from getting an Uber charge, who's all on what the Heavy can do, what the Demo can do. Alien trying to stick it towards the point, but it's all the cap time is so far through. Ryan can try and land on it. There's still only 3 English players alive, and Moolah is going to survive with D-Moolah Heavy over on this point. Auto gonna have to run all the way out, and Brugman is on the chase too. It's so rough, and England again, we've seen it time after time. They've really struggled getting into last, and just a couple of things throwing them off. The gun in a weird position, players playing so far back, the Heavy coming up, it just seemed to just completely discoordinate the push, and now they're the ones facing Uber Dissad, and the momentum is certainly with the French.
I'm finished, man. How do you not? Again, every single time with the last pushes, they just can't quite close it. To be fair, there's also so much ground on granary that France used to their advantage to kite that English Uber there as best as they did, and they did a phenomenal job with it, obviously. Holding onto it, being able to now turn it into an ad push as well, take 2 points off the back of it, keep rolling it forward if they so desire. Situation is equal once more, but it is now flipped to the other side of the map once more as well. France is back in control. They have to hold out for 5.5 more minutes, and then they are Nations Cup champions. That is all that is separating them. 5 more minutes is separating them from potentially beating England for the first time in like 4 years when it comes to Nations Cups.
2016 was the last time that France had this fixture against England in the Nations Cup final and won it. And there was some very old faces in that one. None of the current French team or English team, for that matter, I believe, were in that game many years ago. But France might be flipping the script here, ending this drought of Nations Cups that has run in these past few years for them. But still, there's 5 more minutes left to play. KN on the spy. This is the chaos play they're going for. We saw something similar by the French previously when they were under the caution. They were a round down over on process with mere minutes left. KN sneaks in through the garage, has got into a decent position, but the cloak and dagger is so slow to move around with, and meaning gonna have to buy the time, just play on these tiny bits of cloak to just inch slowly closer towards Moolah.
And you got the Moolah on the sniper as well on the other side. If you can get a nice cheeky little pick onto something. Oh, okay. Oh my god.
What?
I am speechless. Right, Spy's got a gun. I always forget about that. He's got a gun, and he can shoot people with the gun.
He does a lot of damage as well.
Yeah, it turns out you can like 3-shot a medic with it, even if you don't get the backstab. Incredible. It worked out phenomenally. And there you go. England's back in the driver's seat. This is what they need. This is the second win they might need. And unfortunately for them, Alien's got to work with that and gets the force out of Auto. Auto maybe a bit too scared with that one, but I can't blame him.
Yeah, Alien flying straight into the face. There is a back cab attempt going on by Rons, who's currently fighting out with KN all the way back on England's second point, but the cap comes through, not going to deny these forward spawns quite in time either, and Moolah's been building so effectively that Moolah, despite the drop coming in, is going to have a slight bit of advantage, but for now, England don't really care about that. Moolah doesn't have anybody to use, so they're going to keep pressing onwards, keep pressing forwards into enemy yard. France's yard has been breached so far. Second point still holding tall for now with these players, and Ron's actually being caught out might not be ideal for this French side. They've still got, like I say, Uber to use, but you don't really want to be if you don't have to. QB though decided to take the Uber trade in straight onto Auto, who's getting blasted all over the place. Maybe they do want to use it, and Auto does not have in time, and that's such an important kill. There's 3 minutes left. Losing your medic at a time like that is brutal for England.
Auto getting disconnected from his team as well. He could have maybe healed somebody to try and tick that Uber over, but everybody else just ran away, left him for dead meat, and QB homed in on him like a heat-seeking missile, so nothing to happen there. France back in control of midpoint, still with an ad to work with as well. It is looking dire if you're England here. It is not looking great for you at all. 2.5 minutes to at least just put a round on the board, keep yourself in this, and actually have a chance at taking home something else and not having to go 2 tournaments in 1 year without winning something in the finals. That would certainly be devastating. How will the English economy ever recover if they lose another final in an international environment? I certainly do not imagine it will be nice. I pray for all housewives tonight. We'll see. We'll see how it goes. They still have a chance, but it is going to be an uphill battle at the very least.
Yeah, Kayan got all the way behind and has drawn some eyes, but the rest of the England team now charging in through the right side of Lunchbox are going to find one frag over onto Runs, and Kayan is winning out this fight with D-Mule as well, who had to run all the way back towards the medic of Mula to take a nice arrow and just about survives the oncoming rocket. Also, as the force comes out from either of these teams, Ubers traded out in the yard, as now it's all about who gets caught in, who gets caught after these Ubers fade, who is able to escape, who is able to get positioning, as it seems like Alien Smiley going to be the first to fall down in this counter fight, as Bruisman might have been behind him too, but no scouts for this push in, but caught by Ryan. This may be time.
There's a chance. This is the prime opportunity to unearth your biggest tank of copium if you're hoping for England to have a chance here. 60 seconds, okay, 66 seconds to get a round from their own second forward. They have to do it now. It's do or die time. They have to convert 3 points as fast as they possibly can and play completely out of their minds to keep themselves in this. They're starting off decently well, getting the frag onto Ron, straight out for GG. GG going down as well. They're losing so many. Actually, they're getting mulched in choke. It is so over, Bomboclat. They are not getting it.
That was really well played by France, I've got to say. Like, yes, it's ad for Auto, right? And Mula's only just spawned up, but Auto doesn't have Uber. You can play it as if it's Uber. You can play close to those chokes, and you can just destroy the players in, because no Uber makes it so much harder to get through these choke points, in particular the choke on mid and Granary. And it was just a nuke, because you see them coming through the doorway. There's Rons, there's Bruisman, there's all the players spamming down on that one doorway. There's no way in hell that England are going to get in. And there we have it, 1-0, could be 2-0 if this push comes through, but that's going to be all she wrote for this game. Uber charge used in, D-Mule on the point, the cap might be coming through, and the cap does come through. They think it's all over. It certainly is now, because it's 2-0 to France on map number 3, and they're taking the Nations Cup.
Didn't I say that France might get a couple of rounds if they have momentum?
Well, certainly, yeah.
Look, I usually don't make great predictions, but I'm also probably actually Nosferatu, and I'm never gonna take any any crap from anybody ever again. I am actually able to predict the future. Anyway, yeah, congratulations to France. Holy crap, what a match.
That was crazy. That was really mad back and forth, right?
Yeah, no, that was insane. Holy crap. France coming back after a really resounding defeat on Process at the start, right? Like, they got shellacked. Yeah. They didn't really put up... Like, they put up a fight for a bit and then just kind of dropped the ball 10 minutes in, but they came back swinging. Even if it was grueling, even if it was long. For the first time in 8 years, they have snatched themselves a victory in the Nations Cup. And for more importantly, for the first time in like 3 or 4 Nations Cups now, they have dethroned the reigning champions of England, which certainly is also an achievement to write home about. I don't know if that's more important than...
Yeah, it was 3 in a row, right? Because there were the 2 against France. Then was the one before, was it Finland?
Yes.
I can't quite remember. Yeah, back in like the one before COVID. But yeah, really well played. But again, like, it's just, again, these low-scoring games. Like, okay, this is 2-0, but it's basically 1-0, right? Like, given the last round came through in what was borderline garbage time towards the end. Like, it comes down to these super important key moments, and again, it's key moments where the French players, they were clutching up, and they turned up today, right? And they had the DM, and they had just the clutch factor in these really important scenarios. They were zoned in, and they were well coordinated, and they had a couple of good chances into last and in onto Auto, and they were meeting them, making them work every single time, and we saw that across Sunshine and across Granary, and that's all you need, right? You can win a series just getting 2 rounds, right? Just one in each of the 2 maps, and you can just be clean.
It's an incredible work. Also on Granary, just Bruisman, and I gotta actually look at the logs. How many times did they kill Auto? I feel like half of their kills must have been onto Auto. It's maybe not as many as I expected. 5 kills in total. 5 kills in total. So 5 out of 8 of Auto's deaths were to the soldiers, just slipping in and just somehow getting away with it every single time. Having just his number. All map long. He couldn't go anywhere without meeting some sort of explosive.
Yeah, that crazy. First mid was just the complete like microcosm of that, right? It's just the getting to mid. It looks like a fine position for England, and then suddenly Runs just appears in Auto's face, and it's like, oh well, it's over now.
It's just that easy. Well. That is a good game indeed for the Frenchies. A grueling match against Sweden, another even more grueling one against England in the finals. I'm sure they won't somehow get disqualified now for
You got to do the
hydraulics
status screenshot.
issues.
You got to do the status screenshot.
Yeah,
Remember, France.
please,
They're
if
on
you
they're on
are
major warning territory at this point. They got to
France,
make
if
sure.
you have played this match, please, for the love of God, take your screenshots, because otherwise we may be looking at a very funny situation.
All right.
Oh my god, what a time to be alive. Maybe this is the true a true changing moment for European TF2 where the English dominance is finally over.
It could be. It could
The
be.
era
Yeah.
the era of English dominance has come to a close, at least for this Nations Cup. Maybe we're back into the French zone.
Yeah, because they had their own little spell, didn't they? When they had some back a fair few years back. But yeah, it has been dominant though for the last few years. But to dethrone in such a way, coming back from a map down in such fashion, got to feel pretty good. And yeah, it could be looking forward to the future. Like obviously these French teams, I was slipping up calling them forfeits, right? Like a couple of times. Like
Yeah.
they've been doing very very well for themselves in Prem and like in these last few seasons, they've always been contenders, always been taking it on with the best in Europe, and I feel like this is sort of inevitable to happen for a France team that's as star-studded as this. So yeah, congratulations to them.
Let's see if they translate it into a regular season and take something home there as well, considering that Forfeits is basically this team. Let's be
Yeah,
honest.
minus one or two players. Yeah, literally.
It's very similar. So if they can keep this up, congratulations to them for now, and we'll see how it goes. Now, remind me, Ben. You probably know this because you're significantly smarter than me. What else do we have planned in terms of stuff over the summer? Because the next season's still a
Yeah,
bit away,
I
right?
was thinking that genuinely because I normally say at the end of a stream, I'm like, okay, go on, there's come back, join us on this day.
Yeah.
Unless I think there's more cups happening in the off season, as far as I know, there isn't anything planned for a while. Getting him a year, JMax knows of nothing. So I don't either, unless there's, I don't know, Bud Cup 2 Electric Boogaloo or something of that sort. Like, maybe there's
Hmm.
something more coming up, but it is a big gap to the next season. So we're signing up for quite some time as, yeah, it's what, like end of September for the next Sixers season?
Oh, enjoy your summer break, I suppose. That's
Yeah. And
Because yeah, there's nowhere else to go. Birmingham has kicked us out, so we're not going back there.
yeah, it's unfortunate, but yeah, well, obviously, if things pop up, we'll let people know on all the socials, all the usual places. But until next time, we'll hope you enjoyed this one, and congratulations to France. I'm sure the French and Twitch chat have all been absolutely loving this one. So congratulations on the win, and we'll see you all next time, whatever next time may be. So
See ya.
see you later.